We are your home for college football on this Tuesday morning release of the Russillo podcast. We are fired up, okay? Watch ball all weekend. I imagine so many of you did as well. I'm going to talk about the big games. Obviously, Arch's disappointing debut, LSU's win at Clemson, but we've got McShay on the quarterback matchup in Clemson. Also, his breakdown of Arch. He watched the tape. We're going to kick it around on some of the other games as well. He's got a lot on Carson Beck. Loving football again in Miami. LaNorris Sellers, his debut with South Carolina in 25. And Danny Kanell, boots on the ground from Tallahassee, reporting on his program's huge upset of Alabama. What do we do with Alabama as well? And Kyle is back in the mix, back from vacation. We've got life advice and assorted thoughts. So enjoy on a Tuesday. This is the Ryen Russillo podcast presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, that same game parlays, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/Ryen, R-Y-E-N, to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 and older and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In Connecticut, paid endorsement. Week 1 of college football in the books. I have thoughts. Ohio State, Texas, LSU, Clemson, Florida State, Bama. We'll do more Miami, Notre Dame with Kanell and McShay. And the Belichick debut in Chapel Hill. We start with Ohio State's defense, just a monster again, apparently. A lot of assumptions that I am going to try not to make with just one game under our belt, but I think thinking Ohio State's defense is going to be really good. I think that's a safe one to assume. Coming off the year they had last year, if you look at stop rate, which is a number when you force the offense into punting, a turnover on downs, Ohio State, think about their schedule and the teams they played. Their stop rate was opponents were at 78.5%, best in the country. And that is finishing the season at 16 games, finishing it against 4 top 9 opponents in Tennessee, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame. So there's a lot of teams where if you look at an overall stat and how it compares, it's like, okay, but did they not play anybody? Did they kind of skate through the year? Ohio State played 16 teams and still ended up with the number 1 stop rate on defense. And when it gets into goal to go, as we saw so many times last year, it almost feels pointless. Like, I wonder if I would be like, hey, run out of bounds at like 13. If we know we're not getting the touchdown, we actually need a little bit more space. They're tremendous. I think the number was they were number 2 in opposing touchdown percentage goal to go situations. I don't know if that was the Power 4 or just FBS in general. But again, that stop rate number, considering their schedule, a bit of a carryover. Now, you could say it's going up against Arch Manning in his first real time. Yes, he had played last season, but it's his job. It's his team. Everybody's watching. So did it make it a little bit easier? I don't know. Matt Patricia, defensive coordinator, they lose both coordinators. That was something that would be concerning. And San also being a first-time QB on the other side. But I thought Patricia did a really good job of something that I think is simple, and that is, I'm not going to blitz Arch every time. I'm not going to drop everybody every time to try to contain the run here and play zone so he doesn't beat us in man coverage and run around. Even if a guy who's unsure of himself, who's a good runner, I always feel like that quarterback's always going to just tuck it and run after the first read isn't there. But he did a bunch of different things, and Arch was just never comfortable for 3.5 hours. So 4th down against Texas in this game, 1 for 5. Go back to the playoff game where there's the Sawyer turnover that basically seals that one as Texas was back in it. 1 for 3 on 3rd down, so they're 2 for 8 in their last 4th down attempts against this Ohio State defense. So yeah, the closer you get to the goal line, the more pointless that it feels. The AP polls today, I don't know. I imagine Ohio State will probably be number 1 because they beat the number 1 team. Being at home, I think there's certainly an argument for LSU going to Clemson and beating them being the more impressive thing just because it was on the road. It just depends on what you think of Clemson and what you think of Texas. And I think generally voters get a little more stubborn. Maybe there's more creativity and flexibility in recent years, but I'd expect Ohio State to be number 1 in the polls. I wouldn't scream about it, although I think the LSU argument is fair. We'll get to that game in a second. They at least should be 1 and 2. I don't think anybody should be in between these two teams, the top of the AP. And again, does it really matter? Probably not. So you've got the preseason hype part of this with Texas. And to Arch Manning, I'd say welcome to being dumped on, because this is what happens. This was a full Saturday afternoon where people were just unloading on him, and he wasn't good. It looked like he was worried about pressure, didn't look comfortable, and then when he was anticipating pressure, he wasn't comfortable when he actually had a clean pocket. Watching this game and then watching what Ty Simpson was trying to do in his first start with Bama, well, again, it being his team, right? First start this year. He had played before, but Ty Simpson was getting harassed all day long. Arch didn't get harassed like that. And look, it didn't go great for either one of these guys, but there were times where I thought he should have been more comfortable, and he wasn't. Again, speaks to the inexperience of the entire thing. He didn't run it great, 10 carries, 38 yards, missed some targets, the sidearm throw that we've seen on third down over and over and over again. Can I zag for just a second? If he completes that for a first down and say Texas were to win this game, because it wasn't like they got their asses handed to him, right? You watched the game, I hope. If he completed that pass and, we would just talk ourselves into playing the results and, hey, he showed something, they would show that throw and be like, he's got all the slots like Mahomes, like Stafford, a little big drop down, 3/4, Sid Fernandez. Yeah, I guess that was sidearm, but you understand what I'm saying here. But then because it looked terrible and the mechanics looked terrible, which again, I would argue, like even the Carson Beck touchdown, not even the CJ Daniels one, which was just a bad decision, but the other touchdown, which I think is a smart throw as far as where he's throwing the ball. He's throwing to the left side of the end zone, but he's getting pressured. I mean, that's like the no look. They call it, I think, the fadeaway jumper on the broadcast, because we have to, and maybe I'll only say it one time this year because I've said it in the past. Just stop looking at like, oh, he needs to step into this, pat, step in, the whole thing. There's just so many throws where they're chaotic throws with everything that's happening around them, where these quarterbacks actually have to find a way to get some juice on the football with terrible mechanics and zero foundation whatsoever. So I thought that was really interesting because that was incomplete. It was behind the receiver. It was a big play. It didn't really matter. But whatever. So 4th and goal, 1 yard line, stuffed. And then you've got the interception, then 4th and goal at the 3 yard line, 4th and 3 at the Ohio State 9, incompletion. So you just can't finish against this Ohio State defense, goal to go. Maybe it'll change this year, but this is a carryover of what happened last year. I think you should feel good about Texas' defense. This stuff always gets lost in a loss where it's like, what's wrong with Texas? Well, they had a quarterback who they certainly weren't super confident in, and I don't think he was that confident in himself for an afternoon. But they held Ohio State, as we know, to 14 points, 2.5, not even 2.3 yards per carry on the ground, 3 of 12 on third downs. So that defense is likely going to be terrific to be able to hold Ohio State to 14 points. But we're just not allowed to compliment anybody after having a disappointing loss, with the expectations of Texas being the number 1 team and Arch being the preseason Heisman favorite and him being projected as being the number 1 pick, whether it's this year or next year, and the number 1 recruit, because everybody is watching for the first time. And if he's not awesome, and even if he was like above average and they got the win because they were able to flip one of those 4th and goal plays in their direction, the conversation's entirely different, because we kind of can't help ourselves at times. But I think it got to the point where I'm probably rooting for Manning, because I just thought it was like over the top. I mean, we're starting to see some Bronny nepotism arguments. It's like, when have I seen a good Bronny nepotism argument? I haven't yet. And wait until the Bronny fans find out about who's been the holder at Clemson for the last 9 years. Speaking of LSU at Clemson, it's just interesting to watch after Manning against Sayan, and then it's 2 quarterbacks where the offensive coordinators do trust their QBs, because it felt like at times watching a different sport. Klubnik, not super worried about it. It wasn't great. I don't know if it's really smart of him when he looks like he's about to eat a sack to try to get rid of the football. Looked like he almost got burned out a couple times. One time he was actually ruled down. There's a couple plays where it was great because he actually didn't take the loss, because he got rid of the football in this it's not a panic, because he obviously knows what he's doing at this time, but that's something to pay attention to. And then Nussmeier, I would put down as one of the few quarterbacks in college football where it's 3rd and 10 and you still feel like you have a chance. And yes, as an LSU fan, you can make fun of me all you want. I totally understand it. Some of the criticism is totally valid, but I enjoy it. So it means I watch them a little bit closer. I like going to their games. So for me, as somebody that's rooted for this team, forget Nussmeier on 3rd and 11 going, well, maybe they still have a chance, which I can't tell. Like, I would say there's probably 120 programs where you feel that way about your quarterback dropping back. Nussmeier's in that group. Klubnik's in that group. Maybe Carson Beck is in that group, right? So we could put together a list. I'm not doing it right now. But LSU's problems defensively You never trusted them the last couple of years. Like you felt like they were going to get a stop. And these upgrades at the secondary, they were real. And I think the best part of this, at least from the LSU side of this, is now if you're putting a defense with Nussmeier, who could end up being the best quarterback as far as like draft pick wise in 26, now you're talking about like an entirely different ceiling. And that's what a win at Clemson should be able to do for you, because I think Clemson's still going to be a really good football team. They held Clemson to 1.5 yards per carry, 1.6. Running back, maybe the only Clemson personnel issue, because we knew that was going to be a scramble as they have a wide receiver taking handoffs in the game on Saturday. But the upgrades, the secondary allow their defensive coordinator, Blake Baker, to sell out and pressure in a way that if you don't trust your corners, you don't trust your secondary, you're not going to want to default to that. And it's pretty clear. Like, I don't know what again, I'm not a coach, but like Spagnuolo with the Chiefs, when it's 3rd and 7, he's bringing some kind of blitz. Like, he's not going to leave the game having you convert because he was conservative and decided to drop everybody. Now, yes, maybe just because the predictability of blitzing every single time on those big third downs, but like you can see it right now. You can see those Chief games in a huge defensive spot. It's like, guess what he's going to do? He's going to get after him. He's not going to be happy. He can't drive home with a loss knowing that he didn't send people after to try to disrupt your timing with everything. And that's what it felt like a little bit with Blake Baker. 17-10, 3rd and 4, 1:08 left to go. Clemson's got the football. He brings 7. 4th and 4. He brings 5. Harold Perkins. So great to see this guy out there making plays again with what he did, first bursting on the scene as a freshman. It looked like nobody could block him, or maybe they just didn't realize how good he was, and then trying to move him around a different bunch of places. And then that was sort of frustrating. Then he gets hurt. He makes the play on that 4th and 4, and he starts on the right side and sides. I don't know if it was a spy assignment or if he was just smart enough to realize, like, I don't want to get caught in all of this pass rush traffic. I'm going to swing out to the left side, make the play. He gets after Klubnik. Klubnik has to get rid of the ball. Has no chance. It's incomplete. But the reason Baker can do this stuff as a defensive coordinator for LSU is because now he trusts his corners to turn and run with everybody, even against a guy in Klubnik who's projected, at least as of the mocks in August, and a lot of them to be the number 1 pick at quarterback, number 1 pick maybe overall. So maybe there's a defense in Baton Rouge. Florida State, great day down at Tallahassee, right? Great day to be a Knoll. I guess they say great day to be a Florida Gator. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Gainesville. So from preseason top 10 last year to double-digit losses for the first time in college football history. That's the note that I saw on that. Look, rankings, a bit like recruiting rankings. If you want to pretend that recruiting rankings are the dumbest thing ever, and there's tons of times they're wrong, you're going to find a ton of evidence that will make you feel like you're right. But I think a better way of looking at it is the recruiting rankings. You're ranking high school kids, and I actually think they do a better job with it than people give them credit for, or at least want to give them credit for. I guess we always want to, as a society, be like, well, that's your list? That's fucking stupid. So, yeah, as a preseason top 10 last year to end up 2-10, that seems ridiculous. But now you have this carryover of like, what do I do with this team? Well, Gus Bus rolls into town with Castellanos, the transfer from BC, who was with him at UCF in 22. He said he wanted him. None of us had any ideas. It's somebody he's just familiar with. Well, it worked. It looked like that kind of offense, the misdirection, the stuff that keeps you on balance. You're sitting there as a defensive player. You're just seeing ghosts. You don't know where to go. And on top of that, when you lack discipline for whatever reason, that Alabama's defenders lack discipline, which unfortunately is a carryover from last year, it just turns into a mess. So from that first drive from Bama where it's like, Bama's back, everything's good. They run it, 10 of 11 plays right down their throats, touchdown. They're up 7-0 to a 24-0 run by Florida State. Look, Castellanos backed it all up. He talked shit this summer, said they don't have Saban to stop me. He was right. He was woofing at the sideline early. I was like, okay, because if you wanted to dump on him, you go, didn't you lose your job at BC? And guess what? You can't say anything to him now. At least you can't say anything to him or about him specific to this game against Bama. Bama is now 4-5 in its last 9 Power 4 games, from a number 1 overall ranking after they beat Georgia to losing to Vanderbilt 7 days later. This game reminded me a bit of the Pavia troubles that they had. They were a mess in that Vanderbilt game. Nobody knew who to tackle, what to do. The mesh point stuff they sucked at, and they sucked at it again. And that's about discipline and understanding what the other 10 guys are going to do. And it's just crazy to see a team with this uniform on look that lost when it comes to trying to figure out who they're supposed to tackle. And where are the edge guys? I guess it's Pierre 42, the sophomore, but Bama usually always has, usually they have multiple guys that are going to wreck whatever you're trying to do off the edge. And for a Saturday afternoon, I didn't really feel like I saw anybody that was making that much of a difference. The O-line got killed. Ty Simpson, although I'd give him credit for trying to escape some of this pressure and keeping plays alive, because that happened a lot, because he basically dropped back every time and knew he was going to be in pressure. This O-line with NFL talent got worked by Florida State. And look, preconceived notions are very hard to ignore. I don't know who can do it. You can say you do it, but you're lying, because it's hard when you see that A and you see that color and you see that uniform and you're down in Tuscaloosa at Sweet Home Alabama and you're like, this team's going to be average. Well, they weren't just average. They were awful. Maybe Florida State is really good, but they got their asses kicked with 2 huge defensive penalties. And that's what I had said this summer about Bama. I go, you look at the 24 season post-Saban, because there was no way you weren't going to have a drop-off from the Saban culture. You want to talk about impossible. That's impossible. So I felt like 24 looked like 2 years removed from Saban, with some of the mistakes, some of the characteristics of the team. And then it was like, maybe it'll just be like this one weird reset year. And if I'm a Bama fan, I'm like horrified. Granted, you're never going to have it that good again. Never. But to see the first game like this, be like, didn't we see this a bunch of times last year, where that Vandy game was like the real wake-up call? Again, they were number 1 in the country after that great Georgia game. And you're like, you're going to lose to Vandy? Be like, oh, Vandy's a little bit better. I said it. I'm like, yeah, Pavia's, look out. This guy's spicy back there. It just felt like 24 for 3 hours in Tallahassee all over again. So, look, going back to last year and some of this preconceived notion stuff, like, I didn't argue for him in the playoffs after the Oklahoma loss. I didn't. I know a lot of people think I do because of my SEC stuff. But preseason 8, you're like, okay. And now I don't even know what to do with them. I wouldn't know where to vote this team, because of the assumptions that they'll figure this out, and the assumptions that piss off everybody else from every other geographical space outside of the SEC, or maybe outside of Alabama, that they're just going to be good again. But it's just a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do, to look at that uniform and be like, I no longer will pick you against these other teams, because, look, maybe they aren't a playoff team this year, but what they have lost, not just in a game, they've lost probably getting the benefit of the doubt. Miami, Notre Dame, like I said, we'll do it with Todd, another young QB on the road, although Carr was probably better than some of the other guys. But when you look at the spreads, I'm going to bet this the rest of my life. Every spot where it's a ranked team going up against another really good team on the road, but that guy hasn't played yet, I'm not going to pick them anymore. I don't care. I'll keep track of it for 20 years. We'll get back together, see how that formula worked. Let's end on North Carolina before we get to McShay. So Belichick, just right in NFL form, you see the depth charts. And when I'm at the games, I grab it. I can't do the game without having a depth chart in my hand, because I'm trying to learn about the players and try to remember, especially with the portal now. You're like, where was this guy? Oh, yeah, that guy. I remember him. Everybody in the press box immediately tweeting out the empty depth chart from North Carolina. Some could argue it was a box score after the game. Just unnecessary stuff, but Bill is going to bill. So that first drive, man, Chapel Hill, you'll always have that first drive. Right out, running the football. Gio hits a big shot to the left side, 7-0. Place is going wild. Luxury box. We got everybody. MJ's in attendance. And then TCU happened. Gio Lopez ended up with a 1.9 QBR, 4-10. They had that left tackle, that 6'9" freshman that they showed. Again, not the blind side, because Gio's a left-handed quarterback, the first left-handed quarterback Belichick's ever had. I was locking in on him because they were like, look at this guy, 6'9", 330. He's a freshman. He got worked. And then I didn't see him in the left tackle later on. TCU was in the others receiving votes category. The Josh Hoover to Jordan Dwyer combo is nasty. Hoover's good. Like, TCU should probably be a ranked team, unless North Carolina, I don't know, maybe it was one of those things where, did we think they were going to be good with 70 new players? No, we thought they'd be better than that. So I know people are asking for it, because I feel like we're coming close to a conclusion on the Bill and Tom legacy ranking updates. Will I finish the project? May need more data. And I know a lot of you probably are thinking, well, it has to be Tom. Like, what ending could we possibly have here with how UNC looked? Like, UNC looked like Sumlin at A&M on that opening drive. Like, is this even fair? And then an hour later, you're like, I guess this is fair. Think about it. Tom wins the Super Bowl after the guy that fired him gets fired because he didn't have Tom anymore. Tom's in Vegas. They haven't lost a game yet, technically. Bill's 0-1. But it made me think about MJ because MJ was in attendance, right? Right? Because, I mean, Brady's working with professionals. He's working with men. And Bill's out here recruiting. Bunch of new guys, bunch of new freshmen. And MJ, there's that meme that says, fuck them kids. Bill's meme says, coach them kids. So it's still advantage Bill. The Ryen Russillo podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, the wait is over. The NFL is back, and the best place to kick off the season is on FanDuel because every game day during Week 1, FanDuel is giving all customers a no-sweat NFL bet. From the money line to player props to same-game parlays, your no-sweat bet can be used on any NFL wager type, and if it doesn't win, you'll get bonus bets back. All right, I'm looking at the board right now, and I was like, what game has the grossest line? What is the thing that you would most not want to do? And that is probably only get 3 points at home for the Chargers in a road stadium at home against the Chiefs. Mad coming off a Super Bowl. Everybody's healthy, whatever. So it's Chiefs -3. So that means I'm going to go Chargers +3 because I hate it. So this season, make FanDuel your go-to app for any snap. Just visit FanDuel.com/Ryen, R-Y-E-N, to kick off the NFL season with a no-sweat bet every game day during Week 1. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and older and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. This episode is brought to you by Verizon. Rookie debuts, underdog stories, bold trades. Talk about refreshing. You know what else is refreshing? A brand new phone with Verizon. Get a new phone on any plan with select phone trade-in and My Plan and lock down a low price for 3 years. This is a deal for everyone. Whether you're a new or existing customer, swing by Verizon today. 3-year price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate only. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers. We got Todd McShay from The Ringer, The McShay Show. They did a live show just the other day. They're doing Saturday nights. He and his guy Mensch. So McShay has been a massive addition to The Ringer and has jumped in. So let's just keep it going. We can't get enough of this stuff, especially when it's just college football this entire weekend.
Right.
I talked about Arch in the Open. I'll probably talk to Danny Kanell about it. So what did you see from him?
It was disappointing. It was very disappointing. Let's start with that. There's just there's a lot of layers to peel back, as there always is. But like first to press is the whole thing with the media today, and so you got to come out and make your bold statements. And it's overhyped and he's a bust. It's like everyone he kind of sucked, and he did and he knows it, and he goes back and he looks at the tape, and there's a lot of things that he can work on. His footwork was not what it needed to be. He missed too many throws that have to be layups if you're the starting quarterback at Texas. And if you're the starting quarterback at Texas with everyone believing that you could possibly be the number 1 overall pick in 2026 or 2027. But there's a reason. I mean, let's start with this. There's a reason why I'm not entertaining the 2026 draft stuff with Arch. And it was even more clear, Ryan, going back and watching Nussmeier and his opener, and comparing him to that guy who everyone was scrambling to their ex post to be I had him first overall. He's my QB1. And then Texas A&M game, he looks awesome for a couple series and then throws the interception and it all falls apart. Nussmeier has grown so much in 1 year as a starter and then an off season to kind of, rinse, reset, repeat. And so here we are. And I'm looking at Arch and I'm saying, yeah, it's not to the standard. It's shocking. Having all the resources and all the people around him and all the tools that he has had throughout his career growing up. Why are the mechanics not good on those throws? But then I'm also looking at it and saying, you know what? That Ohio State defense might be top 2 or 3 in the entire country this year. And Matt Patricia threw a lot on those new cats, 8 guys drafted from last year, and they were up for the challenge. And I'll let you know, I've seen everyone do the breakdowns, and I've watched the tape sitting right here too. There's a lot of disguise, a lot of confusion. And so I go back to this. There will be growth. There will be development. He is still supremely talented, and he still has a massive future in front of him. And it's that massive future this year. It's still all in front of him. But Sark's got to help him out a little bit too. Don't you think? Like, the mobility is such a big part of his game. And there were times where I was like, okay, here we go. A little like run pass option, getting him outside, taking the pressure off. I think that both of them, Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning, will go back to the drawing board this week. And I think we'll see a little bit of a different mindset in terms of running the football, being more dual threat moving forward.
I thought he was going to run. It was clear both sides were really conservative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Absolutely.
I think it's like, hey, look at this defense we're going up against. Our guys never, I know Arch has played last year, but I mean, this is like real. And I figured he's probably not going to have a great passing day against this team, but they'll figure out some ways to get him creative. And it felt like it was conservative both on a throwing front and a running front, because if there's one thing you could point to Texas offensively, it looked like they were actually doing okay with the running backs. They were doing better than Ohio State was doing it to Texas's defense. So you felt like, is there any, again, I'm not educated enough in any of this stuff to start saying, like, you've got to do more of these. You've got to do more, zone reads. You've got to do, but it just felt like the goal was so conservative on both fronts, in an effort to make it easy on Manning. There was
it made it harder, right?
Yeah, or there wasn't really anything that was going to scare anybody. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's part that. And then it's part like, what do you trust more? One thing's for certain. The guy's a really good athlete and he can run the football, right? What you don't know is, in the first game as the full-time starter, third game as a starter, against Matt Patricia, who's a new entity, and a defense that we know Caleb Downs, and we know Igbinosun, and we know Sonny Styles, but there's 8 other starters coming in, right? So with all that unknown, it would be like less aggressive by being more aggressive, or less risky by being more aggressive. Let's just get Arch going, running the ball. Let's RPO it. Let's do some design runs, But I'm not putting it all on Sark, because it sounds like it. And I want to go back to what I started with. Like, Arch did not play to the standard.
Yeah.
And a lot of it I can write off. The part that I really want to see, and I've always said this, it's not like week 1 to week 2. It's the first 4 to 5 weeks with a quarterback that I always see the biggest improvement. And then I don't want to say by the end of week 4 or 5, where he is and like what he's going to be moving forward. But you got a much better sense. Like, look at Sellers last year. It was hard to watch the first week. And then the second week, a lot of the same stuff, same mistakes, front side pressure, blitzing, sack fumbles, like the whole thing. And then he kind of gradually made steps. And by like the 4th, 5th game, he was taken off. I think let's pump the brakes a little bit, but I am concerned about the easy throws at this point in his career, with the time he's had working on his mechanics, with the resources he's had in high school, with his family at Texas. I'm going to need to see some improvement with the easier things.
Anything from saying who, if we go back to that class, he's the number 1 QB. And that class is probably a little weirder on some of the names at the top of it. But if you go overall, it's the Caleb Downs class, where he was the number 1 overall player at 24. I would never sit here and say, hey, he wasn't great either, because that's not really the point of this, right? The price that Sand was going to have to pay, he
completed his assignment, right?
Yeah, I mean, Carnell Tate helped quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm not saying he was good. I'm just saying his assignment was to not muck it up. You got your star wide receiver who's dropped a couple passes early. You actually make a really nice play roll. I think he was rolling out to his left. He was definitely throwing to his left. Who's kind of sliding, I think, throwing to his left. The new tight end comes in from Purdue, Max, and this guy's like an experienced pass catcher. Like, what you're getting. All of a sudden, it's through his hands. And so, like, it wasn't just him early on, but he kind of hung in there, didn't make mistakes. you can see some flashes of this guy's got a lot of ability, but yeah, they're going to have to unleash him more as this thing goes. And they don't have the running game. Like I know the numbers and Peoples did well and
CJ.
Yeah, CJ, like they did well. But it's hard to watch that Ohio State offense without Henderson, without Judkins, and so they're going to have to rely. My point is they're going to have to rely on saying a lot more, I think, as the season progresses.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of it. Like, I wouldn't ever sit here and be critical. Look, if they lose, it's a different story. Just what we do with the quarterbacks. But, this is a really high-profile guy. I mean, he's the number one quarterback from this class. And I did like that Ohio was wondering, and I'd mentioned this, like, if Ohio State was going to screw around like they did with the McCord-Brown decision. Yeah. Where then once the game started playing, we were like, this wasn't, like, based on what you're doing here with the snaps, then you were pretty misleading for whatever reason, to mess with everybody. And then for saying, it's like, no, look, it's going to be saying. I think you also have to do it, especially too, if you're taking the number one recruit in at that position in that class. Like, you have to.
Yeah, sends a message. But I liked his poise, man. Like, that's a pretty good jumping off point. That nothing was the moment wasn't too big for him. He hung in there. He did, like, I don't know. Like, I'm encouraged.
Okay. That's good. And again, I'm not sitting here like I don't want to be.
You know what I'm really encouraged by? Sorry.
Go.
Like, that defense.
Yeah.
That defense, man. I didn't know what to expect. Like, whew. Like they, like, yeah, check Ohio State national. Like, they're in the. What about you? I came out of this weekend, and I don't care about overreacting. I'm definitely probably overreacting. LSU and Ohio State are the best two teams in the country. That, as far as I can see. Like, I don't have a poll, but I'd go 1-2.
I don't know how you vote anybody inside of those two teams. Like, if you think the Texas win is better, I mean, you can go with the road thing. The thing that I thought was just so interesting about watching Ohio State, Texas, and then watching LSU Clemson is like, oh, this is what veteran quarterback play looks like.
Yes, right.
It looked like a different sport.
It's like, go grab some lunch. Like, see what's going on with FSU, Alabama. Now let's sit back down. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is what it is. Yeah. It was wild. And by the way, it was a 17-10 game, but what a difference, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not like it was some just 42-40. It was the amount of trust I had, even on not a great day for Klubnik. And sure, there's some decisions in there, but the trust from the guys calling the plays in to the guys behind center, it felt like you almost were watching a high school game on offense, and then it was
You ever go to? I'm sure you like going to high school game. Like you've got someone in the JV game, and then the varsity comes out and starts warming up, and it's like, oh, okay, here that's kind of what it felt.
Just at that position too, just in case anybody is trying to.
A couple takeaways though, because I think these two teams legitimately could be there at the end too. I'm talking about Clemson and LSU now. Clemson's got to fix that offensive line, and they get 4 returning starters. And Mensch tried to warn me about it. Like, he's the big offensive line guy. And it's not even a talent thing necessarily as much as it is like they blitz in the B gap and miscommunication. And then the running back, number 8, the former wide receiver, can't pass pro. Like, they've got to fix a lot of things on that side. But the defense was awesome. Because Nussmeier was absolutely dealing, and I don't think people understand to the level. I put it up there with like Andrew Luck, man. What? Control of the line of scrimmage. Hurry to get to the line. Give me 15 seconds to now I'm motioning, set motion, swapping the running back, IDing, pass pro. Like, he was, we always talk about like field general in control. Like, now that's what it looks like. He's like kind of setting a new bar.
On that 4th down where I don't understand what they were doing, it looked like he was on a Zoom conference. Like, he was trying. Well, it didn't really make any sense because if they had converted that, then I don't know. I mean, maybe they have enough time to get up and spike it, but then it's like, well,
are you talking about
The fourth down at the end of the first half. I just thought it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it was a terrible mistake.
Right. But when you look at what he was trying to communicate
in that stadium with that crowd, with 4 new offensive linemen, okay, and he communicated it. Now it was the wrong. Like the beauty of it, I went back and watched it like 4 or 5 times. And like, not only was it not the best call because you had a 3 over 2, 3 defensive backs over 2 receivers on the right side, by moving swapping the running back over to the right side just before the snap, it allowed, if you watch it, allowed that safety to go like just like this, like right back over to the right, and that was it just blew up. But the 40 other plays that he got him out of and into, it was magical, man. And that Clemson defense is for real.
So that's where I think it's worth talking about here, because we're looking at 2 guys in their front that are projected as like top 6 picks, maybe top 10. Again, it feels like the quarterback variance from where they're mocked before the season starts to where they end up.
First half of first round, I feel pretty good about it right now. Yeah.
Right. I think some of those defensive stud guys, usually you don't see some massive drop off, at least the way we see with the quarterbacks, right? Because the quarterback order could be like comically different than what we thought. So when you look at this offensive line, so I guess I want to present it this way. The O-line last year for LSU had 4 NFL players, and it actually wasn't that great. Okay.
Exactly.
It was the weirdest thing ever. And then 4 guys go in the draft, the 4th guy being a 7th rounder. And you're like, at no point did I feel like that was they're better. And this is going up against the personnel that I'm talking about. It looked like Sammy Brown was all over the place. Hannafin's all over the place. Woodaz is all over the place. So I don't know if that we didn't hear enough from Woods and Parker because the O-line held up, or if all those other linebackers are making all these plays because those guys are getting all the attention. But to think that you were going to hold up with that kind of turnover at that unit against this kind of personnel, nobody scored 1 million points in this game, but that wasn't some part of it, or it was like Nussmeier felt like I have no chance because my guys can't hold up.
I don't think they'll see 3 better defenses this year, LSU, than Clemson. I think Clemson's a top 10 defense. And so, it's remarkable because that offensive line's the whole story. And it's, Brian Kelly said it. I didn't want to believe it. He's like, I've been around good offensive lines my whole career. I know one when I see one. This one's a really good offensive line. And I'm like, well, did you think last year's was one too? But he was like making a point of it in camp. And they come out and they're like, yeah, this is a better offensive line than last year. And one guy was a 4th overall pick, and 3 other guys drafted. So that's going to be fun to watch. Those receivers are going to keep getting better for LSU.
And that's without Nick Anderson, who 2 years ago at Oklahoma, I loved.
What's his deal now?
Got a car accident before the season started. So I was looking at it. I could be wrong here. So anyone listening to this, I was looking for an update before kickoff, just what was going on. And I think I'll check this while you talk about it, just because I don't want to mislead anybody here, but that he was like suited up and was going through some of the pregame stuff. So I don't know if it's a lingering injury thing. I don't know if they just feel like he wasn't ready to go yet. Because that guy 2 years ago, he was hurt last year. He was he's one of the guys you're just watching. He was one Saturday of the guys. Going,
Well, so you've got him. You got Aaron Anderson. You get some guys who stepped up. Trey'Dez Green, as the kids would say, 6'7". I mean, did you see his length? Yeah. And what did he get him? 2 catches the whole game?
Well, how about him getting one-on-one in the end zone? I mean, talk about like defensive person, and you just go, this is the kind of thing where Nussmeier is like, I can't believe I've got him empty on a side here.
Right.
And Terrell's a good defensive back, but I don't even know if what is he, 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah, 5'10", I'd say. Yeah. No, they're going to be fun to watch. They're the team that I'm like, and I said when we were I was like, they're good enough. I just don't know without seeing them on the field if they can make a run in the national championship. But I think they're good enough, and they're better than I thought. And defensively, they've got Harold Perkins has found a home at Star. Did you see that speed, man?
It was nice to see him back to
Yes.
what he was, because when he came out on the scene a couple of years ago, it was
that
so
Arkansas
funny.
game was like legendary. Yeah. So they're going to be fun. I'm excited. I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for Oklahoma, Michigan this week. I think Oklahoma is another team, a little bit like LSU. Like, be mindful. Mateer he's special. He's special.
What do you mean by special? Like, how many guys do you give the special designation to?
I'm talking as a college quarterback right now, okay? He can do things with that football like that not many can do. He's got some like Kyler, some Mahomes, some Johnny, some like kind of another like those Texas high school football guys, right?
Just a baller.
Right. Like everything's urgent. Everything's like, and the way he just snaps the ball and gets torque. I saw him at Manning Passing Academy. He looks like I'm trying to think like Allstat, like his thighs, like John Allstat back in the day. He doesn't look at all like a quarterback, but he's just this thick lower, torque creating, snap the football. His competitiveness, the way he attacks, he's not going to back down to anyone. It's going to be fun to watch. And now you got Underwood going against Mateer, right? That's going to be a fun one.
Give me your Miami impressions after that game, and then Carson Beck.
I did a whole offseason series on all the quarterbacks, and I just put Carson Beck aside. I was frustrated with him.
I guess so. He didn't even get a video?
No, we did like 7 or 8 shows. We did Arch, but not as a prospect. We did Klubnik. We did all the guys, Nussmeier, Mateer, Mendoza, Levitt, all those guys. I'm like, I'm not doing Beck. I want, like, he's got to fit. Because it's Lamborghinis going to Miami, Lamborghinis being stolen, the Cavendish stuff. Like, it was just like too much nonsense. Georgia let him go. I'm like, you know what? Let's see if he can, dig himself out of this hole. And then all of a sudden, 3 weeks before the season comes in, I'm getting reports out of Coral Gables of like, dude, he's decisive. He loves this offense. His teammates love him. He's a different cat down here. He's playing loose, playing free. And I'm like, all right, we'll see. Then he comes out, and he said it after the game. He's like, this place has allowed me to fall in love with football again. And if you think back to like the Georgia days, and I said this the other day, Georgia isn't for everyone. Miami's not for everyone, but sometimes people just fit in certain spots, right? And so Beck is just a fit there. But he said like this place has allowed me to fall in love. I was texting with our guys like, he's just loose. He's playing free. Back in Georgia, I felt like every snap had the weight of the world on it. And every decision was like, and you could tell in his play. And here he's just like, and by the way, he's lighter on his feet. Like Twinkle Toes back now. Like I wasn't expecting that.
During the broadcast, a lot of the messaging too, right? Like, and to the overall point that kind of frustrates me with like August season, for college football, because it's like the messaging is the same. Like, oh, hey, look at what a leader this quarterback is. And because it's week 1, then they show that quarterback in the huddle, like pointing to everybody before the fourth quarter. It's like, you know how easy this shit is to do? Like, none of us should be falling for this. This is all choreographed. It may not mean anything. There could be 7 guys on the team that hate his guts and be like, why is he in a single as a senior? It's like, because nobody wanted to be his roommate. But we're going to show this video of like what a leader he is. So I become far too cynical, right? It can get in the way of not realizing, like, look, when the defensive backs at the U are all over you as like a white quarterback, that usually tells me where I'm like, okay, now, like, all right, like we might have something. And then, McElroy is so good on the broadcast. He brought up, and I think McDonough had said it too, so it was part of the conversation. They do a really good job of weaving in conversation with the play call of a game that still ended up being like an incredibly entertaining game. But it was like, hey, when he was at Georgia, he had told us he was only allowed to like check into 1 or 2 runs, and here he has a little bit more freedom. And like sometimes my like bullshit alarm goes off. I'm like, he really was at Georgia like last year, projected to be the number 1 overall pick, and they did. But I don't know. I mean, you would see that better than I would. Like, does that make any sense? Is this freedom? Is his love of football again all baked into the idea that they're so much happier to have Beck in Miami, whereas Georgia's like, we're winning national championships, try to keep up with the rest of us?
I think we see this in life. I think that we see this in relationships. I think we see this in business. You know what I mean? Like sometimes life's about fits. Like one man's trash is another's treasure. I don't know. We'll see. Time usually time and losses, failures, struggles usually kind of flesh out the real. So I'm not like, hey, Beck's back. Like the U is back. Beck is back. This is a perfect marriage. He's going to be a first round pick. I'm not saying any of that. Pardon my cold, by the way. I'm dealing with it today.
Doing a great job.
But I'm encouraged. I didn't write him off, but I was kind of like, show me something, Beck, before I invest my time in my summer. It's 75 and sunny out. I'm going to need a little bit more to see. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's better than I thought it could possibly be after week one. Let's put it that way. I did not expect to see him lighter on his feet, running the ball a little bit, moving around in the pocket, being more creative, as decisive, having the teammates clearly. Now I heard the reports, but the reports are bullshit all the time.
All the time.
It started with Jamarcus Russell and it goes all the way to today. All the time. People are trying to feed you. You get to know the right people and all that. But I was starting to hear from some of the right people. So this is really promising. What about, oh my gosh, how have we not, we've gone 35 something minutes without talking about this Malachi Toney kid.
No doubt. Yeah. And then CJ, who's been around forever. I mean, he had 40 catches at LSU. And I mean, everybody nailed it that talked about it. Cause we're watching every single one of these games. Herbstreit's talking about that catch on Monday. As he should be. We're going to be talking about it in December. It's an all-timer.
And Toney, it's cute that they didn't think they're like, yeah, we'll see how much we could get him in the game. But yeah, like Reggie Wayne.
All right, I'm going to do a lot of Bama, Florida State with Kanell, so we don't need to do a ton of that with you.
Castellanos.
I know, huh? The Heights.
Oof.
What a game. All right, let's talk a little LaNorris Sellers because I haven't done anything on it.
Okay.
I was really looking forward to that game as well. I kind of like drones a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong. You're not saying anything, so that tells me that I'm wrong.
No, no. I got your text, or maybe it was some on Threads. I forget. I
don't know that you need to. A lot of the stuff I do on Threads, I'm just fucking with you. But
I'm well aware.
So 2 things that I have for you on it. If Nick Harbor can catch, look out.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dylan Stewart, the big edge, who was a freshman, who was on the scene, was making plays last year. We've talked about South Carolina's defense probably more than any pairing nationally because of how much we love those dudes. We know a bunch of them are gone. Mm-hmm. When he is getting upfield and recognizes that it's a running back draw and then basically kind of stunts back into the lane and it's a tackle for a loss, I'm like, you know what? I love this goddamn kid.
Yeah.
Because there are so many edge guys that are just bigger and they're faster and they don't have any awareness and they can live for a little while that way. That play, and yeah, I know he might be a little light in the hips for an edge NFL guy, but
he's getting bigger though.
Totally. But to see that awareness week one of him reading the draw and then getting back in there to make the play where it wasn't really his lane assignment at all based on what they were trying to do. That play was one of my favorite plays from the entire weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, it was kind of like a light bulb with him.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I'm looking for.
And last year he was super talented and won some one-on-ones and had some highlight stuff. But as you're watching all those other guys on defense, you're like, he's got some growing to do, And that's
he's eating off of them a little too.
100%. 100%. But yeah, South Carolina they're good. They're not defensively what they were, but they'll get better. I give Beamer a lot of credit though. Where does he get these physical freaks? Like Eamon Worry last year, you get Stewart. Now you got this Nick Harbor guy who was, just so people understand, we're talking 6'5", 235, track star, legitimate.
Yeah, one Gatorade Player of the Year in track in high school a couple times, right? So people wonder if he's going to run a 4.3 at this size.
At 4.3, like it's like DK Metcalf stuff, but like didn't really know how to play football last year.
Yeah, totally.
Like just like it was like the young outfielder sometimes with like his glove up going for the pop fly, but major improvement, I thought, this for the first week. I did see improvement.
What about LaNorris?
My goodness, he's gonna make some mistakes. He's so much further along than he was a year ago, especially early in the year. But he is big, he is strong, he's smart, he's tough, he's fast, and he's quick. And he's got a cannon for an arm. Yeah.
Yeah, because I started seeing,
and he makes magic happen when the moments count more often than not.
Like
Missouri
that run
last year,
Virginia Tech's still in that game. And then he's like, there's no way he's converting this on the ground.
I'm not saying they're going to be like a 10 win team, but I could see them winning. I haven't looked at their schedule, but I like
the schedule's brutal. Do you know how bad it is?
Oh, that's right. I did look at their schedule. That's why. Yeah. I did. It's brutal. So maybe they win 8.
They play LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M. Then they're going to get one with Coastal, which Big Ten people are going to make fun of, and then they're going to finish with Clemson.
Ugh.
All right. Final thought. Is Hoover to Dwyer the new Culpepper to Moss?
I couldn't get enough of Hoover last night.
That kid, man.
Oh, I mean, I'd seen a little bit, and just like even the way he like turns to and gets the ball out in the quick game, like he's fun to watch.
Josh Hoover, TCU, for those that need to.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, that's my fault. I'm hosting. I'm driving this thing. Yeah, week 1.
You know what was funny? It was my mom, right? My mom's texting me up till like 11. I had stopped watching the game. I'm sick. I just wanted to get some sleep. When it got out of control, I'm like, all right, I'm good. And I wake up this morning and there's still texts from her, but she declared it. I had to, because she's a little background. Deborah McShay, wonderful woman, brought me into this world, but she's a huge football fan. Like I get my love for sports and football through my mom. But she is, lived in Boston, outside of Boston, Patriots fan, Belichick, all of it. And so, like a lot of people across the country, she's fascinated by this whole thing. And I had to like talk her. I was like, it's not going to be a disaster, Mom. And but it, like she's surrounded by a lot of good coaches, 70 new faces. It's going to take a little while, and then like finally we were back and forth. The first text I read this morning is like, if you don't think that's a disaster, then like I don't know what to, So it's just funny to see fans. And what the expectation, I guess, was for Bill. I'm talking like people who aren't like in our profession and talking about this every day. And
that's a good point.
Do you know what I mean? Like just like the general public was really interested in that game. There's a reason it was a Monday night game and it was UNC TCU. There were millions upon millions upon millions of people that were interested in that game. And I think it came as a really big surprise to a lot of people, for the majority of people who were actually watching it last night.
I think most college football people went into that with like trepidation of
right, but it's kind of like when you're doing the draft on ABC and they're like, "This is the Grey's Anatomy." I'm just saying, maybe maybe 10 million people last night were watching that, whatever the number is going to turn out to be, and millions of those. That's like hard to kind of grasp.
Totally understand what you're saying. Yeah. Right.
I don't know.
And Jordan Dwyer stole the show. The Idaho kid. I mean, it's
your guy.
He had 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns last year with Idaho. And, he was running some of these routes and then Hoover would just throw it to him again. And like a lot of times quarterbacks won't throw it to the guy they just completed it to because they're like worried he's exhausted. And he's like, no, I'm just going to catch it every time on this possession. Just keep dialing me up.
They're fun. I like Sonny Dykes too.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they beat an absolutely terrible UNC team too, because, as you try to figure out like who the Big 12 is and all of us liking Utah, whether you liked him in August or you like him even more after the UCLA game, that was a mess for Nico.
Yeah.
the
kind of saw that coming.
The Big 12 thing's always challenging because I just do like the depth, maybe in the top half of that conference. Speaking of, though, one of my favorite games was Auburn-Baylor.
Yes. Auburn's got some weapons. We'll see if it all comes together. It's funny. I really like Baylor, even after the loss.
You still like him? Trig?
I still like him. Trig. And Sawyer Robertson. I know. Hang with me here.
Sawyer. Yeah, Sawyer.
I'm sorry. Sawyer.
Yeah.
Sawyer Robertson. I'm going to have a hard time with that all year.
I gave up. I'm like, come on. Because that was, if you're missing what we're talking about during the broadcast, he said the parents, it's Sawyer, but they like Sawyer. So, you can impress your friends.
It's Southern stuff. Sawyer.
It just makes it tougher. It makes it tougher on everybody
for
else.
Us Northern.
Your kid's going to reintroduce himself for the rest of his life. So congrats. There's just not enough thought about kids when you're naming them this stuff. I've already done this rant before, but
no, there's not.
There's just the kids have.
Well, I didn't know when I named my son Tate McShay that there was going to be a Tate McRae that was already born that would be a superstar. You can't predict some things too.
Tate Martell didn't want you off of that one, or
no?
Good. All right, that's good. Strong. McShay show schedule. Give it to us because I know you're doing all sorts of extra video stuff as well.
Thursday morning, we're back previewing the games, doing a bunch of stuff. Saturday night is the fun one, the stream, live stream. We're going to have guests. I'm going to get Russillo on at some point. And we come on they're the final drive or two of the primetime game, and we stay on and recap the whole day. So we'll be on for Oklahoma and Michigan. I think that's a 7:30 kick. So tune in. We'll be there probably around 10:30, I guess, and ready to roll all night. So
also want to remind people that want more McShay and you want him in person so you get to see him. By the way, torso's looking good. Wednesday, September 10th, a live show from McShay, Lincoln Hall in Chicago. Big Cat is the special guest.
Some questions for his ass.
For tickets, theringer.com/events.
Events.
See if he has any Graham merch t-shirts left over and bring a couple of those to you. Is Mensch coming? I hope.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
The McShay Show, please subscribe to it right here, a Ringer Spotify podcast. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, my man. I'll talk to you.
We didn't have him scheduled, but people demanded it. Danny Kanell of Dusty and Danny on Sirius XM and, of course, CBS Sports as well. Danny Kanell, as you know, a Seminole, a very happy Seminole after their win against Alabama. How's your weekend, man?
Could not have gone much better. It was fantastic. We had a blast. Had my two girls in tow, same ones that you got to have dinner with. Cameron, my oldest, had a volleyball game. She couldn't go, and she was pissed. We were FaceTiming her from the field and stuff, and she was some serious FOMO from her. But I had Dylan and Brady with me, and just from all aspects, from being on the field before the game, seeing a lot of old friends, and then getting to experience a rushing the field situation. I've always been kind of critical of it. I've always been like, oh, is a game that's worth it? And even in that game, kind of in the third quarter, I'm like, I kind of hope we don't. It feels like it's diminished what you are as a program. But after experiencing it, whole new appreciation for just the experience it is, and to be able to do that with my daughters was really cool. Whole new appreciation for sideline reporters. I know they'll always complain like, man, it's so hard to get to the coach. I'm like, whatever. It's not that hard. It was crazy. Scenes were off the charts. I almost lost one of my daughters for about 15 minutes. There was a little bit of panic that was setting in there, but
not Brady.
No, not Brady. I had Brady assigned. So I had two coworkers with me, Mackenzie and Brianna. And I was like, don't lose Brady. Because Brady was kind of nervous. She was like, Dad, what's going to happen? And Courtney was texting me, if they storm the field, don't get hurt. And I'm like, we're not going to get hurt. We're going to be fine. So I wasn't worried about getting hurt. But so Brady wanted to leave soon. It was like 85 degrees at like kickoff and throughout the game. When there was that many people, and I'm sure you experienced this at some club at some point in your life, when there's just so many people packed in, it sucks the air out of it. It went from 85 to about 150 Like it was a sauna, literal sauna, and you couldn't really get oxygen. Brady looked up and she's like, I want to leave. And I was like, all right, go with Mackenzie and Brianna. And so I'm with Dylan and I'm taking video. And it's like the feeling you get, you haven't experienced this, not yet, maybe one day. But the feeling you get when you're at the mall with your kids and you're at a crowded store and you turn around and you lose them for like 30 seconds and they're just like hiding under a clothing rack or something. But that feeling, your stomach drops. All of a sudden I look around and I don't see Dylan. And I'm like, where the heck did she go? And I cannot find her. Everybody's wearing Florida State gear. There's guys, there's girls, there's football players. And my wife, I just kept thinking, like, she said, don't lose them, don't get hurt. And I couldn't find her. It took like 15 minutes. Come to find out. And I wasn't worried about, she's 16. She can handle her own. Like, I was actually worried that I might not see her until midnight at Madison Social chugging beers with some football players. I was like, I need to find her for different reasons than I need to find Brady. But some football players, she was filming things and a football player said, like, here, I got you. And so he grabbed her phone and was like taking her around, like videoing everything. And of course she loved it because she got great video of everything, but couldn't find her for about 15, finally reconnected and everybody was safe. My wife was not thrilled with me, but it was a memory for a lifetime for sure.
Yeah, I want to ask you about some of the other sideline stuff, but just going into the game. And clearly everybody knows the routine, whether it's you or me and maybe you in social media, because, I think that people can forget that you can come off as kind of a dick about the Florida State stuff. It's like, yeah, but do you realize like what Alabama people are saying to him all summer long? So considering your history and a lot of the arguments that we've had, I just from a football standpoint, like what was your actual expectation of what was going to happen?
Not that. I don't think anybody expected that. I will say, because I tried to, I try to make sure I take off my Florida State hat, but I still think Bama could be good. Like that's the kind of crazy thing in all of this. So going into the game and even being there, so I was there covering it. We did a pregame show with CBS Sports HQ. I got to talk to Mike Norvell. And he didn't give us anything, because I wouldn't expect him to. But I was talking to some other guys that are on staff that I had played with, and I was like, "Hey, man, do we have a chance in this game?" And they were like, "Oh yeah." They're like, "We've been balling out in training camp," and a couple of the guys in the offense said, "Tommy Castellanos is a difference maker," and they were like, with his legs, because Mike Norvell closed practice. And a lot of even Florida State beat writers, they're not happy about that. So they thought it was because Florida State looked bad. And they were trying to cover up some of the deficiencies they had. It was a lot of the Gus Malzahn game plan stuff that you saw out there formationally. The ability to use Tommy Castellanos the way they did with his legs. I think that might have been a surprise to some, but it wasn't a total surprise. I mean, he did that a lot at Boston College, but I just, so I was hoping we could be competitive. And I thought if you could make it a fourth quarter game that Alabama, you could have a chance and your players would believe, but that was anything but the way it played out. In fact, the time was probably the most nerve-wracking was that opening 17-play drive. Alabama's marching down the field, converting multiple third and fourth and shorts. And I went over to Corey Simon, who's a former defensive line. I'm like, we got to step it up. And he was like, I know. I mean, it did not look good. And then we responded and scored on the next drive, made it 7-7. And then from that point on, Florida State just looked like the better football team, which I would not have said. I would have said it would have been a game of a couple big plays that if Florida State, knowing they would have won, how would it unfold? I wouldn't have guessed it would have looked like that, that they would have had that much success on both offensive and defensive line play, like in the trenches for the most part.
Yeah, that's the problem with week one is we've been waiting, whether it's the spring stuff that we read about, hear about, if you have, lucky enough to have access to some of the stuff, and then you get to camp and then it's just, okay, all right, Bama had a disappointing year. Like I felt like Bama last year looked like a 2 years removed from Saban program. Like there was stuff happening last year. I'm like, how is it already this? How is there not like enough carryover from some of the leaders that went through multiple years of Saban? And now I'm seeing stuff where it feels like this version of this Alabama football team is like a couple years removed. Anyway, so that first drive, they come out and you're like, okay, like they're back, this offensive line that's loaded. Ty Simpson doesn't have to do a ton here. What did they run, a 10 of 11 plays during that stretch? And you're just like, okay, they're going to push these guys around. And to see it all flip, and this is the part that I also talked about in the open, and just that when Gus was right at Auburn, when Gus has been right at places, just how off balance you are as a defensive player. Because now you're freaked out, and Bama clearly lacks a lot of discipline defensively, like on assignments and lanes and what you're supposed to do. And like once Gus Carts, it's almost like once he sees you off balance a little bit, he's like, okay, now it's going to be even worse. And that combination, and it's not like I was sitting there thinking, okay, well, if Gus liked Castellanos 4 years ago, then clearly there's something about him when he was his head coach, and then they both end up there together. But then part of me is like, if Castellanos is this good, like how did the BC story end the way it did? So there was no point that I was ever just going to pick Florida State because of that combination. But watching it play out after that opening drive, the game completely turns, the physical nature of the whole thing. But to have Malzahn, some of these dudes, it's like, hey, can you just be like a really well-compensated OC? Not knocking you as a head coach, but like this maybe is what you're made to do. And I think that Saturday afternoon for Florida State on offense was a reminder of why this guy was so special and why everybody wanted him a decade ago.
He's even said as much after the game, he said it felt so good to not have to be asked about what's happening on the defensive side of the ball. What decision are we making on special teams? Like all those types of things you have to do as the head coach. Now he's kind of back to what he knows best, and that's calling offensive plays. And even he's done it going all the way back to Auburn, to UCF. Remember, he'd give up the play calling, he'd take it back. It's a whole nother ballgame when you're able to just focus on that one thing. And there were Florida State fans that were split. Not everybody loved the Gus Malzahn hire. I mean, some people thought he was washed up. Could he replicate what he's done? Has his offense been figured out? We've heard before in the past that other quarterbacks have been good fits for what he wants to do, and they haven't worked out. So there was a lot of even Florida State fans that were very skeptical and saying, I don't know if this is going to work. And after one game, it looks exactly like what Mike Norvell would have wanted from this pairing. I asked Castellanos after the game, I was like, how did you, because I thought he looked really comfortable ball handling. I mean, it's a very complex system. There were so many times, and I was watching from the end zone, like right behind him, he rides that back, and it looks like the ball could be going to the back, and then he pulls it out at the last second, or he gives it. And he kind of reminded me, because you mentioned it, he was with Gus. That was 3 years ago. He was at Boston College for 2 years in a different system, but he did say, he was like, it's kind of like riding a bike. Like once you learn how to do it, you don't forget. He's like, sure, there's a little bit of different terminology, but I felt like that experience as a freshman really helped me be more comfortable out there then. That's why I thought he looked extremely comfortable.
I don't know if this would work, but I swear if I was a defensive coordinator and it was somebody like Castellanos who especially wants to prove a point, I'd be like, we have to assuming this mesh point stuff is where you can get yourself into trouble. But like whether it was Pavia last year or like Marcel Reed coming in for A&M in that LSU game where it completely changed. And it's like when the guy is more comfortable keeping it, you can't be losing him the way you can. Like when Castellanos kept it on that touchdown run, it's like, how did you lose him? And I know it could be like a simple discipline thing and you don't want to lock yourself into rules, but there's just a lot of quarterbacks that you'll come in and you'll see and you'll be like, this guy wants to keep it. And he especially wants to keep it in like the big moment and on the big down. Like there seems like there's quarterbacks that are pretty good runners and it's third and fourth. It's like he's not handing it off. He's not handing it off. And because of the blocking and because of the misdirection, you have everybody chasing the guy that doesn't have the football. And Castellanos, I would think for teams that are prepping in the future against him, it's like you need to kind of like, if you're guessing, go with the quarterback because that's kind of the way he attacks. And the fact that it was working as well as right, it wasn't like a total yardage part of it, but like when he kept it and ran it into the right side of the end zone, I'm like, how do you like, did you really think he was giving the ball up here?
Right. And it's interesting because a lot of the concepts they're doing are kind of old school triple option concepts. You can call it whatever you want, but still the responsibilities, a lot of them remain the same as if you were defending a triple option team. And I know defensive coaches who have gone through practice and they won't use a ball so that you as a tackler, you stay to your man, you don't follow the ball. So you don't get fooled like that. The issue becomes because the triple option, they really didn't throw it that much. Now you've got somebody who can throw it as a little bit too. Then it becomes really problematic, and they're putting you really in a bind with that decision you have to make. But I agree with you. I would say he's got to get tackled whether he has the ball or not. If they just tackle them both, like you got to have one assigned for the ball carrier and one assigned for the quarterback, and say tackle them both. But it's going to be interesting to see, because now, as mentioned, now I'm the biggest Bama fan ever. Because the thing that's good for Florida State is if they're good. So you want them to be good because it kind of validates your win. But they're clearly reeling right now with what they have to deal with. And there were some alarming things that showed up on film. But I still think their personnel is pretty good.
Yeah, you actually liked them. Just to remind everybody.
I picked them to win the SEC.
Yeah, of the teams that we were kind of like going, what do you think? New quarterback and all that stuff. When we talked last, I think it's a lot of us that just go, well, he's not going to give anybody from the SEC the benefit of the doubt. You were very positive about Alabama. Ty Simpson looked like he had probably one of the worst 3 hours as far as just being miserable. But the pass rush from Florida State, like we can talk about like, hey, what's the game? But that is ultimately the thing that surprised me the most. Like, is that actually what this pass blocking unit is going to look like here? Because Florida State got after him. They dominated that part of it. The pressure numbers, the tackle for loss, the number of guys just behind the line of scrimmage, just attacking, and Simpson trying to survive. What did you see from Bama there? Because I've seen all the defensive clips of guys looking like they're mailing it in and not pursuing anything.
Right.
That to me should be fixable, whether taking snaps away from guys or embarrassing them in a film room session in front of the entire team. But the protection, that was shocking. And maybe it's just because it's score and they can just pin their ears back. I don't know.
Some of that, I also think some of it was crowd noise. Like that was my kind of overall evaluation going into the weekend. I liked a lot of the home teams. That's why I liked Ohio State over Texas. Like Arch Manning struggled a ton. It's just hard for first-time quarterbacks to operate in that environment. And then when you're trying to communicate and they can't hear you and the offensive line gets a late start because they're looking down to try to see the ball movement, they're reacting to what I think is a really talented defensive front. Darrell Jackson, the interior pass rusher for Florida State, he got a 3rd-round grade, I think, and he came back. He wanted to try to be a first-rounder, and he played like it. He had a showcase game for NFL scouts. So I think that had something to do with it. Because I still think Parker Brailsford, Caden Proctor, like those are first-round talented offensive linemen that just played against a really good team in crowd noise. Ty Simpson, I'm a little bit curious about him because I kind of bought in. I love the story of somebody staying around, but there's also something that he didn't beat out Jalen Milroe, who wasn't a good passer. Right. I mean, I don't think Jalen Milroe is going to go to the NFL and do much outside of being an offensive weapon. So I kind of was torn on him. The fact that Keelan Russell was kind of pressing him in the competition, I don't ever want to make a panic move, and I don't think they should. And I don't think Kalen DeBoer will, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Like and that was the other thing, watching the amount of quarterbacks that are running. And Ty Simpson tried to run some, but he is not a dynamic runner by any means. The trend is to go to a guy who's a weapon as a runner. I mean, Jackson Arnold, look at what he did. Haynes King, a couple 100-yard rushers over the weekend from the quarterback position. Yeah, LaNorris Sellers, what he did. I mean, the one unique one was Garrett Nussmeier. No one thinks he's a runner, but he's a pretty elite passer. You have to be really elite to win from the pocket now, and Ty Simpson isn't there now. And so are you going to have the patience to develop into that, or are you going to make a change? That's what I'm wondering about. But I do think so. I'm not as worried about Alabama. I mean, they didn't have Tim Keenan, one of their best. They didn't have Jam Miller. They were without a couple really key features on their offensive and defensive side of the ball. But there's something lacking. They're searching for it right now, and it's going to be Kalen DeBoer's biggest challenge to try to find it.
Yeah, when I was looking at the guys that weren't available, I'm like, okay, but, especially when it's, like, all right, they should have enough personnel. It's Alabama. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And maybe if it's a close loss, maybe it's a weird late turnover or something that happens. The way I look at the Ohio State-Texas game is I don't look at that as some dominant performance by Ohio State. Their defense is incredible, but, like, you coin toss a couple plays and you might have a different result. Although I would say, like, for the course of 3+ hours, Ohio State felt like the better football team. So I think them winning that, like, that's the right score to represent how the game played out. But it was really close. And this in Tallahassee was just an ass kicking. And it was 2 huge penalties when there was a spot where Bama maybe thinks they can stay in the game and get some momentum back. And I understand Tuscaloosa's absolutely unhinged today after being spoiled with the greatest run, really, I think, in the history of the sport. Was the greatest guy to ever do it. But there's just stuff about them that it's like, if they were going to lose, to your point, like, I don't think they were going to lose that way. And now I'm sitting here like on a Tuesday going, if I had to rank them in the top 25, if I'm keeping them in the top 25, the only reason I'm doing that is because of history. That's
right.
it. And that's fine, because it gets real tough to find 25 teams. You know, you're going to have TCU ahead of them now. Like, okay, that's fine. There were others receiving votes. They looked terrific yesterday. So maybe that's the right call. But if I were an AP voter, I'd have a really hard time going, how much am I going to overreact versus how much am I going to cancel out the assumption that this is still going to be a pretty good football team?
And the assumption for what it means for Florida State.
Sure.
You know, because, I mean, if they lost to a really good, you know, ACC contender now, it doesn't look as bad. But, I mean, there's even a piece of me where I don't like to jinx anything. I don't like to get too bullish on Florida State. Like, I think they're really good. And I think it totally changes the complexion of that season for Florida State, obviously. Like, how good are they? Could they be somebody that could make a playoff run? A lot of this hinges on what we think Bama's going to be.
So they have East Texas A&M, Kent State, and then they're at Virginia that are going to host Miami. I don't know how much of the Miami game you get to see. I imagine
I watched all of it.
Yeah. So I already know the answers. Like, the default answer should be none of us really know, which is the reasonable way to go about it. But do you get enough of a sense of, like, how you think Florida State compares to Miami?
I feel a lot better about it than I did before, right?
Sure.
I think that game is going to be probably a field goal spread now, you know, whereas before it might have been a touchdown. Because I think still it would have been a tight game because it's a rivalry. I will say this, because I was pretty hard on Carson Beck all off season. He really impressed me. I thought there were a lot of question marks he had to answer. You know, how was his health? He looked healthy. I thought he might have had one of the more comfortable, like, presence-wise of anybody just watching him play. I thought he looked like an NFL quarterback out there, just playing from the pocket. He had all day to throw. That offensive line deserves a ton of credit, too, for Miami. But, I mean, Hakeem Mesidor, Ruben Bain, they've got some guys, but I think that's where you rely on a Castellanos to neutralize a lot of those pass rushers that you're going to go against. The better teams they play, that's where it is kind of an edge to have somebody who can run around like that and make plays like that.
Do you think Miami's win against Notre Dame is a better win than Florida State's against Alabama?
I think they're equal. You know, because I don't know. I think I probably, because I actually thought CJ Carr, Notre Dame's quarterback, looked really good. I thought he had the best debut. He made a couple throws late that were more typical of a first-time starting quarterback. The dude hadn't completed a pass in college, hadn't attempted a pass. And I thought his presence in that place is not easy to play. I mean, 6 games out of the year it might be, but in the 2 good games they get, it's going to be loud. I mean, it was crazy. The scene down there going against that and that defense, I thought he looked really comfortable. It's tough to say because I think they were similar. I think they were like on par wins. You know, I would say they're pretty much very similar wins.
I feel like the majority answer would be beating Notre Dame right now is a better win. You know, but
yeah.
I don't think you're out of your mind for saying that, and especially because it was a beatdown.
Right.
You know, Miami was the better team.
Oh,
Notre Dame gets back in the game, you know, and you're like, okay.
How do you think Miami fans felt with Mario Cristobal's history of game management, watching them getting extremely conservative, starting to run the ball a little bit too much? There was the one series when they ran it 3 times in a row and settled for a field goal. And even before half, they got conservative. I actually was impressed that Carson Beck kind of looked over and was barking at the sidelines after one of those runs. Was like, come on, what are we doing? Like, we were having success moving the ball. And for him to trust a kicker with a 47-yard field goal to win it, That was a game where I was like, man, they better hope they win this one, because if not, those game management questions were going to come back. But he played it conservatively and it worked. But it's definitely something that he didn't do a lot to silence his critics. Got the win. That was his signature wins. That was huge. But I do get a little bit worried about Mario's late game management, kind of reputation coming back to the forefront.
I didn't think that kick was going in.
I know. It started. I was one of those ones that looks like it's going right. Oh yeah, he did great. Kind of just drew it right back in, right side of the fairway, but it looked like it was going out of bounds. It was. Oh man,
I love doing that when I'm watching a game and it's a big spot, and I'll just be like, "Is this kick going in?" And a lot of times I'm like, whatever." And then in that spot, I was like, "What? Hasn't this guy?" Poor Bert Auburn. That guy's. He had a great run there for a little while.
I did.
And he's not even the dude. So is there anything from the weekend then, from an ACC standpoint? I mean, other than maybe Florida State saying, "Hey, we have an invite to the party." I mean, that's the kind of win. So now we have to take them more seriously in the race. I'm totally with you on the Carson Beck part of it. Like, it just, especially when you're watching some of these other games, you're like, they don't trust this guy at all. And with Beck, there's just an enormous amount of trust. Although I would say, I guess I'm just not going to be able to stop myself from doing it. I still told myself I was going to do it. The sell job from the programs on their quarterbacks for those week one storylines, like, you think every one of these guys is eligible for sainthood. And, hey, Carson Beck was this and this. It's like, look, I know they had a lot of drops last year. He didn't play well. And he definitely didn't play well based on the expectations of him maybe being the number one pick overall. The funny thing is the CJ touchdown catch is going to be one of the best players of the year. That's an awful decision.
Agreed. When he threw that, I was like, here comes the turnover prone one, which I actually like. I think it's easier to have somebody that's a gunslinger. We have to draw it back and say, be a little bit more conservative, but that ball goes a different way. And we're talking about a completely different Carson Beck today. And that was a huge catch. Malachi Tony, that was my biggest question for them too. Carson Beck, who would he be throwing to? The fact
I'm not worried about that.
Right, not anymore. Malachi Tony, that guy's a weapon. Like, they did address a lot of their deficiencies that they lost this offseason, where they should be in pretty good shape now.
Yeah, and I should say, like everybody, with that kind of turnover in the receiving group, and then to see what we saw on Saturday, you're like, okay.
What do you think of
Sunday?
What's your reaction to Arch?
It's pretty predictable for anybody that's ever listened to me. I don't think it was very good. I think you saw a game there, which kind of speaks to your Beck part, and then also kind of Nussmeier and Klubnik going at it. And then you watch that Ohio State-Texas game, and you're like, this is two groups that just don't really trust these dudes right now. It's really conservative. It was like the tone, because both of those teams love their defenses, which they should. Those are two of the best defenses in college football. So probably both of the game plans going into it offensively was like, let's not put our guys in any kind of tough spots. And then you're like, all right, this is almost too conservative.
Right.
And I thought he played poorly, but I also, it's always that Monday Night Football theory that I think about when we were working together. It's if you're a quarterback who's kind of in that gray area of whether or not, like, you're never going to be a top 5, top 7 guy. You're certainly not one of the worst. But if you have some huge night on Monday Night Football, then we spend all day Tuesday asking if you're underrated. Where if it were a 1 o'clock kickoff, you could have had the exact same stat line result, but because you were the featured thing. Like, Belichick would have been better off just being a noon kickoff with everybody else on a Saturday. But, of course, the TV ratings and all of it, Belichick's return, like, it's a television product, so I understand the decision, but it wasn't good for UNC, and it makes it so much worse for him. So I kind of thought going into it, I thought Arch would, like, be more competitive with his legs. He would default to running. He's such a good runner. Going against that Ohio State defense, you knew it was going to be a problem, but I didn't even see the running part of it. So then it just turns into, really, that's millions of people watching him for the first time going, this is the Heisman favorite. So it was a perfect storm of events to be an even nastier day for him, where, maybe, look, if he's not the real deal, then it maybe changes the conversation about Texas as a national championship contender, maybe as the favorite, as the number one team coming in. But I mean, come on, like, I got to see a few more games for him before I'm ready to say this whole recruiting process was rigged.
Right. I feel pretty much the same. I did not expect him to play well in that game. I think the season's going to be bumpy. just like it is for a lot of players. And you mentioned that Julian Sand was not spectacular. They just didn't make the big mistake, and they were protecting him somewhat too.
Totally.
He's got to go a long way to get developed. I think Texas defense balled out, kept him in the game. The one thing that concerns me is their schedule is tougher this year. So I had Texas missing the playoffs this year. I had them at 9-3. I had them losing that game. So the two games that come up, he's got to go to Gainesville still, and he's got to go to Georgia still. Two really nasty environments that he's got to get comfortable. And I didn't even mention the Red River game against Oklahoma, which is in there too, because I thought it was going to be rare. And I think people took for granted what Quinn Ewers has done. I mean, you got to go back last year against Michigan on the road. He balled out. 2 years ago in Tuscaloosa on the road, he had 3 touchdowns against Nick Saban and won that game. In the playoffs, they had the 4th down, season riding on the line. He came up big, but he had played a lot. He was more experienced. I think Arch will get there. I just think this season's going to be a little bit bumpy for him, especially in some of those road spots.
So you had him outside of the playoffs, the number one team in the country. Look at you doing the research this summer. Putting in,
they still could. I mean, they could win every game they have left. That defense looked legit. And if Arch gets more comfortable, which clearly he's going to play better the next 3 games, and that to me is all Sark's going to be doing, is developing Arch in every aspect of this system. You know, getting him more comfortable running the ball, as you mentioned, getting more comfortable pocket. I thought he looked a little bit jittery, a little bit skittish. Again, that's kind of normal for a guy that hasn't done it before. So I don't know. I'm a little bit worried. I think they'll be fine. Like, I don't think you're going to not see him pan out. But my money was on Arch in year 2, not year 1.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. I think that's really the right way to look at it. What did you think about the opening weekend for the SEC?
Did they have 2 top 10 wins? Because I saw the ACC did. They had 2 top 10 wins over top 10 opponents. Florida State, Miami. I think they were the only conference to do that. I'm pretty sure. I mean, Florida, they looked awesome versus the Sharks.
How about that schedule, though? You're gonna make fun of week 1.
They better watch out for USF. That game got a little bit more tricky with Byron Brown, who I like a lot. They just beat Boise. That game they better not sleep on. That's a little tricky game for them. So
yeah, Brown felt like one of those guys. I'm like, how long has he been there?
Yes. But I thought DJ looked good. As long as he stays healthy, like, I think Florida, even with that schedule, could be a 9 or 10 win team, but it's all about Lagway's health. Somebody who's missed a ton of games, you know?
I guess I was just a little surprised when I looked at the opening schedules with the SEC, and it was always like, this is the Big Ten thing. And look, the Big Ten fans should be saying, hey, we went 5-1 against this conference. You know, like the numbers you used against us all those years. Well, it just went to 5-1, winning the national championships. And again, it's way too early for any of this stuff, at least for 25. But Ohio State beats Texas, Bama gets smoked. And then it's like, okay, here we go. It's a bit of the carryover. And then you have the LSU win. I think Virginia Tech's a decent team this year. I think a lot of the problems they had last year, 1-score games, the health issues. I like their quarterback, even though that was just kind of a messy game overall. But
what Tennessee? I thought Joey Aguilar, who I wanted to root for him all year because of the way things unfolded. They might have got an upgrade. Is how comfortable he looked. Now I know it was Syracuse, but I mean Nico missed a lot of guys running wide open. Joey hit him in game 1. Now he hasn't done it. I mean, and you can go back. Nico had a great game against NC State, an ACC opponent, so he started the season strong. But I don't think they have to have Joey Aguilar play like Hendon Hooker did for them to be a 9-win, 8 or 9 win team again. So I thought you have to be really encouraged with what he brought to the table.
I watched the Utah UCLA game, and I was like, I wonder if Nico has a private moment where he's telling his family, like, what did we do?
He was running for his life.
Did you see the number? He was pressured on 59% of his dropbacks.
Yeah. It was insane. He was running for his life. And by the way, if I get a mulligan, because I picked Kansas State to win the Big 12, if I get a mulligan, I'm taking Utah.
Everyone loves Utah now.
I think they should, because I thought Utah would come in and dominate the Big 12. I thought they were to replace where Oklahoma and Texas, left a void. I thought Utah would fill that, and clearly they didn't last year. But if Dampier continues to develop, Kyle Whittingham always has a defense which is pretty filthy. And Dampier can run. He was a 1,000-yard rusher last year with New Mexico. He comes with his coordinator, Jason Beck. I think they could be legit. They'd be
any other observations that you're like, this isn't a headline, but I think it's important. It's kind of like your Tennessee thing there, or the Utah thing,
right?
Which I think a lot of people are doing. The Penn State schedule is tough. I mean, it's kind of tough to find the third toughest game that they.
We're not going to know about them for a month. Like we're not going to know about them for a month. We have to wait.
So it sounds like you want to give the SEC and the ACC a lot of credit.
I want to give anybody credit that played somebody with a pulse. Like I give Ohio State credit for beating Texas. The Michigan Oklahoma game will be big for that Big 12, Big 10 SEC conversation. Because if Michigan goes in there and gets a win, that is a pretty damning statement on the SEC. If already Ohio State got the Texas one at home, now you got a freshman quarterback playing against Oklahoma. I did think Mateer looked really good, but Oklahoma did not run the football against, did they play Illinois State?
Underwood had a couple throws, man. You're like, oh, okay. This is why this is such a big deal.
There were some others too. I thought Dante Moore looked pretty good for Oregon. The kid at Cal.
Time. Yeah.
The kid at Cal looked really good. Sagapol Atele. The true freshman, thought he looked really good.
Is it too early to say that it's Washington State's Pac-12 after the Oregon State lost to Cal?
Maybe too soon.
See how the conference records go.
Yeah.
Okay. This is great. I know we'll have you back on again. Congrats to you and the family on a Knowles win. And what was going on with you and Damian Harris there on the sideline?
So we work together. So he's on the pregame show with me. He talks all kind of smack, and he was yapping the whole pregame. I mean, ever since we got in Tallahassee, he was feeling good. He was getting cocky. So we were just barking back and forth each other all game. It's all good, though.
I hope Florida State's good.
Me too.
Look, and I know it's a simple thing to say, like for years it'd be like, oh man, it's too bad SC's not better, or the years where Texas was disappointing based on the standards you have for Texas. It's like, oh, it's just better for college football. It's better for college football. And it's like, yeah, I think college football is actually kind of fine, but I think Tallahassee, when it's right and that place is going wild, is I've been to enough places that I think that's a pretty unique experience. And it just like to think of them being a 2-10 program with the expectation and then the disappointment of the playoff 2 years ago. I just think it was almost like that program in Norvell. And it's also like a bit like the Norvell thing. I think you could do it with Napier a little bit. Brian Kelly being on the hot seat entering the season, or maybe the warm seat, although I don't really know what was going on with that decision at the end of the first half in the Clemson game. I personally think the turnover thing is out of control with like, hey, do you like the guy? Oh, you do? Like, you think he treats me, do the local high school coaches like him enough? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that maybe we don't always understand when the local high school coaches like hate the big time head coach. And you're like, all right, now we have to make some sort of change, or like all the other stuff that you may not know unless you're around it every single day. But there's a reason why he got the job in the first place. He's not that far removed from having a special season. And it feels like it's some of these programs that hold themselves. And I understand part of it is like holding yourself to this kind of standard, but there can be these bad years where you start to hear a conversation about some of these coaches. It's like, you want to go through the whole process all over again for who? And then you see the list of like the guys that'll actually take the job, and you go, I don't know, maybe as an AD, I'd be way too patient, but I'd like to see it work out for Norvell. I'd like to see it work out for Napier.
I would too, because you mentioned you think college football is better when Florida State is good. I would agree, but when college football is at its best, when Florida State, Miami are all good, and that's what it's kind of looking up like. It's shaping up to be one of those seasons where they all could be good, and that would be incredible because they all play each other this year. All three of them play each other, which isn't always the case. October 4th, I'll host you in Tally for the Miami game if you want to go.
Wow.
We got time. You can
I
look
know.
at the
I just
schedule.
don't know how many. I mean, I'll go to Bama, LSU, obviously, but I really want to go to Athens because I haven't been in such a long time. So I think I might go to that Texas game. So I don't know if I can pull off. I don't know if I can pull off 3 of these, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Right.
I wouldn't rule it out.
All right. Open invite.
Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a good one.
And now it's time for a special part of today's episode brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. There's no such thing as too much NFL, but how can you handle it all when it's 1 p.m. on a Sunday? You're flipping through channels like a madman. Your phone is blowing up. It's just a complete sensory overload. This is the whole reason NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV is basically a must-have from September to January. It's the only way to impose order on the chaos. It gets you every game, every Sunday, all in one place with features that help you stay on top of all of the NFL action. Plus, right now, new users can grab it for 8 payments of just $34.50 a month. New users pay $276 or 8 non-cancelable payments of $34.50 a month with first payment charge of purchase. Payment plans not available everywhere with NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games and YouTube TV base plan for local and national games. Requires base plan, excludes digital-only games and commercial use. Terms, embargoes, and restrictions apply. No refunds. So look, man, I watch a lot of football. I don't know how I would do it without Sunday Ticket. You know what my favorite part of it is, even though I don't get to travel very often during the football season, is I dial it up on YouTube TV, and I'm like, look, I'm good to go. I'm not freaking out anymore in a hotel. You know? What's worse than freaking out at a hotel? Be like, are they calling to have me check out? Oh, that's right. I'm checking out tomorrow. And I've got a full slate of football right in front of me because I have YouTube TV. Or when I'm home and I'm like, hey, I want to watch my Pats. Who's this script for? Or your favorite fantasy guy, your buddy's terrible team. See them all lose in real time. You'd be like, oh my God, are you watching this? You guys stink. Are you watching? I'm going to start watching and I'm going to start texting you the entire time as they blow this game. Isn't it awesome? Or you could go to LeBron's list of guys to watch. You can watch them all. With NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV, 1 p.m. is actually the best part of your Sunday. You're in the driver's seat of your viewing experience. You have your pick from every game, every Sunday, all in one place, and you're controlling the chaos like a champ. New users, grab it for 8 payments of just $34.50 per month. Go to youtube.com/Russillo, Russill, to sign up right now. New users pay $276 or 8 non-cancelable payments at $34.50 a month with first payment charge of purchase. Payment plans not available everywhere with NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games and YouTube TV base plan for local and national games. Requires base plan, excludes digital-only games and commercial use. Terms, embargoes, and restrictions apply. No refunds.
You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required.
Full squad, lifeadvicerr@gmail.com. We've got Kyle back in the mix. Ceruti's here. Oregon immediately closed out his window. Feels like I was a minute or two late. I heard something about a cat, something about a stepdad. I don't know what's going on.
It's all off-air stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to out Kyle, but people were just concerned about the background before he left. I mean, there's a lot going on there when he went back home. You know,
yeah, you know, you show
pool.
guys an in-ground pool, all of a sudden they get preconceived notions, and there's really nothing you can do about it. But salt water, by the way. But
wait, what?
I don't think that helps you.
Well, I'm not going to say sorry for having a saltwater pool at my father's house. You know, that's a house we moved in when he married his wife. So it's like, you know, he wasn't a guy who's like, you know what, I need a house with a pool, but you know, kind of rolled in there and started looking around, started making payments on that house. That's all I'm saying. He wasn't a guy whose goal was to get the in-ground pool for his children. It's just, you know, that's what happens.
Just feel like this really hurts your brand. You're such an above ground pool guy. And then dudes.
Half the week I was in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? We were doing that 50-50 custody thing. So it was sort of like trading places or something every week for me.
What's the maintenance on that saltwater thing? It's got to be great, the medicinal effect.
Yeah, he doesn't want anyone else to touch it, you know? So I don't know.
Smart.
I had to Google how to turn it on when he was gone last week. Didn't really want me messing with it, but I got it on.
You feel the difference?
Totally.
I bet.
It's silky.
I'm fine in 68 degree water. Trust that. But
68.
I went into a lake last week. I mean, that was probably high 60s. That was awesome.
Banff, 40-degree lake. Like
really?
Cold
40
plunge?
degrees.
Natural.
Some guys are off
plunge?
to the side doing it. Yeah.
Off to the side.
But they're giving you like the hypothermia speech, you know, putting your life jacket on. I was canoeing. NBD.
What do you mean the hypothermia speech? Like how like those gun safety guys are really serious about it?
I actually don't mind when the gun safety guys are over the top serious about it.
Me neither, but is that the kind of hypothermia speech you're getting? Like,
wasn't that intense. I mean, it still was.
It's always very intense with the gun safety.
They're like,
guys.
hey, that's a whistle on your vest. You have 3 minutes. I'm like, 3 minutes, dude. Come on. I'm cold plunging over here. I might jump in on purpose. So, but then there are people.
What's your temperature at?
50, but it's a full standing one and there's jets going. So start the day. Great way to start the day. Never going back.
Wow.
People say that. Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't know.
Yeah, not a fad. A real thing. A real part of the daily routine. But yeah, if I had a lake that was 40 degrees, I'd probably jump into that a couple times. But hey, you're sitting there and I don't know. I think hypothermia, part of it's the panic.
Sure. I could see it.
Yeah. I mean, water makes you do some crazy things when you don't have control.
I've heard that.
Yeah. There's videos I'll send you. Okay.
Please do.
Anything else we need to do? We're good. We just get into it.
I think that's it. Kyle
you guys did some great
life
life advices. You guys did some great life advice. I was like, man, I wish I was there for that one. And I forget everything I had in the bank there, but I had something for like everyone, and it's all gone.
Anything on the cats?
Oh, that's right. I did text you.
Oh, for the cats, I think if you were better friends, I would tell the truth, but you nailed it at the end. But in addition to them being like really serious about going away for 24 hours with a cat, give me a break. If I was better friends with him, I'd be honest. But because I think you're at this level of like, sort of like, hey neighbor, and maybe like, hey neighbor plus, whatever's like a little bit past hey neighbor, I would certainly lie. I wouldn't take the money. Real easy. Like, no, dude, I'm your neighbor. That's the type of stuff I do. It's the kind of guy I am. You keep that money.
What's the rabbit maintenance when you guys go away?
Dude, oh my God. There's one thing in there. My wife has like 3 different ways for these rabbits to drink water. There's a bowl. There's like those little like water bottles with the ball in it that you like tap to. And then she got this fountain that had like running water. She was very careful. She tucked she like secured the wire, have it out of the way. Week 2 of the vacation, this she's on the rabbit cam and she sees that this thing is out, and then they chewed it. And I was like, dude, this could be it. What can we do? The guy from our rabbit guy already went there that day. He didn't see it. She's like, there's a live wire in the bedroom right now. And I'm like, whoa. Is this just out of our hands? I have no idea. This is like totally like.
I was like, no, don't chew it. No.
Oh, like, oh, what that's too bad. He just came. She's like, should we call my dad? He's like, he's probably busy. I don't know. Like, you think he'd. Anyway, there was a live wire in my apartment for like a full day, and the guy came back, and everything was fine. I was more concerned about a fire, being on a hook for that. Yeah. But there was a real moment there. I was like, dude, maybe we can get a dog soon. Anyway.
One day.
One day. I don't know who this electrician is. I found him on Angie's list. What's going on? Okay. Ex-wife asking me to move citizenship ceremony. We don't like to do immigration much on this show, but let's go with it. 61185, mailman. That's a first. Checking in. Player
great
comp.
career.
I wish I was Rip Hamilton. Would love a read on this from you guys. My ex-wife. I don't know if he includes her name. Well, he does, but it's in parentheses. So
do him solid.
Yeah, let's just call her. Give us a name, Kyle.
Jeanette.
Nice. Really good.
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
No. You're right back. I mean, I thought you might be a little slow, but not my guy. All right. Ex-wife Jeanette and I got divorced over a year ago now. The breakup was rough at times, but overall pretty amicable. And in recent months, we've been very friendly toward each other. No chance of getting back together, though. We're both eligible for UK citizenship. It's a complicated path, but the important fact is she was eligible through Ancestry, where once you hold that visa for 6 years, you become a citizen. My visa was dependent on hers until just before we divorced. Then I got an independent visa ahead of my citizenship application. So we're both eligible at the same time. I applied first. Running joke is I'm organized. She's chaotic, just the way it is. Mine was approved. Yay. So then I booked a ceremony, which you must attend to complete the process. Hers was then approved a few weeks later. Turns out we both need the same ceremony slot due to travel plans, convenience, etc. She texts me asking if it's okay she attends the same as me. I say, yes, absolutely fine. Better, actually. She then says she wants to bring a new boyfriend. I say, okay, we'll be weird, but we both need the slot, so I'm cool with it. She then eventually says it would be too weird, asks me to move my slot. I don't like this.
Nope.
I say, I don't think it's going to happen. I like that sentence.
Can't swing it. Sorry, pal.
She can book whenever she wants, but I already booked the slot. She then says, I wouldn't even have this if it wasn't for her. I'm so entitled. I'm not even bringing anyone with me. She said all three of those things to you. No wonder
I think I know why you broke up. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that this is now some sort of point scoring thing. What's your read on her saying you wouldn't even have this if it wasn't for me? I gotta be honest with you. The people out there that have ever said that to anyone, even if it's true, no one's psyched. No one ever goes, you know what? You're right.
Is aura the new word? That's like minus 1,000 right there. Minus 1,000 aura, and you start throwing that around.
It's a real desperation line.
Totally.
Like you have nothing else going, and when you just start throwing grenades like that to an argument.
Yeah, who's ever said that to somebody and the other person? Yeah, good point. It's just a nasty thing to say.
Is this ceremony like, is that just a word that's used for it? Like, it's not like, you know.
No, the queen shows up. It's the whole thing.
You get a medal. Yeah.
Yeah, is this like, do you have to go over there to, they're over there, right? It's not like they're in the States or what. So they're just, why don't you just get your buddy to go with you and just like have the best time, get nice haircuts. And then like, you're having a great time. You're laughing about stuff while it's not your turn.
Bring an escort.
And she's just with, nah. That's actually, you know what? I kind of like it too.
Although if they figured that out, would they, you know, hey,
would that ding your, eligibility?
6 months.
God, we're on the 1 yard line there.
Yeah. The aura word, because I've complained about vibes and just describing teams and everything. Speaking of, maybe the worst use. Oh yeah, very good Ceruti restaurant. Oh, it's just sort of a vibe. The Instagram food influencing thing. Like, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to post a video of somebody making something, and then I'm going to have my head off to the corner of the video, and I'm just going to go, oh my God, ooh, what's he doing now?
They call that stealing. That's basically what it is. You're basically just taking somebody else's video. Cool.
It's just never interesting. Like, no one has ever done one of those videos for a minute long. I guess there's one guy that's okay at it. I think is like a pretty renowned chef, but most of the people trying to do that, you know, I'm not going to knock anybody for the hustle on it, but it's just, do you really think you have a minute of content while somebody makes a pie? Like, you think I'm sticking around for a minute? I don't want to. I have at times, but yes, back to the word and the overusage or poor usage. I think I found the worst usage of the word vibes ever. Speaking of the canoe trip, there's a gift shop there, right? So there's only porta potties where they're just shuttling you in. And at first I thought it was just a way to charge everybody extra stuff where you have to go park and then you pay for these shuttles to these different hikes and these different lakes. But then I think I realized that if it was just a free for all and everybody could just park their cars and there isn't enough parking, then it would be much worse. So point to the Alberta tourism community, the bureaucrats maybe have got this one right. But the problem is it's porta potties and they're horrible. And you're just watching like these kids come out freaking out with their t-shirt over their nose, being like, Dad, oh my God. You know, and it's rough. It's rough. So then there's a gift shop, some incredible bears made of jade, amethyst platforms. I mean, just really, good stuff. I mean, you spent $700 on that. You're not mad. And so the sign in the front of the gift shop said, no toilets, just vibes.
Yeah.
And I went, that's the single worst usage of that term. I don't know that there's a worse one.
To be fair, when you see the no toilet sign anyway, it's like you're already bummed out. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's a little, it softens the blow a little bit, but yeah, that's a terrible, terrible string of words together.
And by the way, they should not be letting anyone use the toilet in the gift shop, because then it would just be a free for all and all the porta potty damage. Like it wouldn't work.
It's customers only. That's how you sell your little trinkets.
I don't think it should be customers only, because you're walking around with like a pennant for 5 minutes. You ask if you use the bathroom, you put it back down. Everybody knows that move.
Yeah.
All right.
That pen. Yeah.
Or, hey, I have a kid. I'm sorry. Oh, great. Yeah, I'm sure he's not going to destroy it in there. You know, whatever. So I don't blame them for not wanting anyone to use the gift shop bathroom at this place I was at. But the sign itself, to just go to your point, like, oh, immediate disappointment. There's some jade bears in here. You know what? Vibes are still high. All right, back to the email. I find it manipulative. We both went through this 6-year process together in a committed relationship. We both funded it. We both did all the admin. All she actually did was strike lucky with having an ancestry route to a visa. It triggered me in a massive way, but am I blinded by rage a little bit here? Appreciate the feedback. No, based on the facts that we have here, that sounds ridiculous. She said 3 nasty things to you all in a row. And on top of it, hey, I'm bringing my boyfriend, which is totally fine, but you don't even have anybody? Like, I don't need that right now. I'm about to become a citizen. I can't get off to this kind of start. So it sounds like, especially like so many of these problems that we're presented with, it's about, well, how is this going to play out in the future? Because it is a wife, it is a girlfriend, it's a friend from college, all of these different things with relationships that you hope to still maintain. This isn't even a relationship that you want to maintain. So why would you be doing anything based on her decision or her feelings at this point? Because clearly she doesn't care about your feelings. And this is, you can't mess around with this stuff.
Yeah, this isn't you being unreasonable. You're just not going to lay down. Good for you.
Yeah. Hey,
you're in a new land. Don't lay down. Don't get off to that start, like you said.
Can't wait to meet him.
How many people are at these ceremonies too? Like, do you really have to interact that much if you don't want to?
It sounds like it's like when you go get your marriage certificate and it's just like next. Like, it's not like nobody's clapping, right? I mean,
yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I think I've seen like video of like baseball players and become a citizen, and everybody's like, "Oh man, this is amazing."
It's very strange paper. Did she say too that she's like, okay, I'm going to go the same day and I'm bringing my new boyfriend? And then did she like walk that back too and say, no, I'm actually not going with anyone? Is that what she said?
No, I don't.
No, she said you're not bringing anyone to the.
Oh, you're not bringing one. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she's just intimidated because maybe her boyfriend's not as cool and hot as you are. So I would definitely have to go now because I want to peep the scene, see what this guy's about.
Yeah, if the guy's a scrub and then you start looking at the guys with the paperwork, and you're like, you sure, dude? You sure? All right.
Solved, right? Got to go. Got to keep your appointment.
I think this is a quick one. I think everybody knows the answer. It's just some may feel bad saying it. 29, male, 6'2", 166. Max bench is 195, working at 225. Well, you keep working on it. Just get that back. Back's the secret. Player call, Monta Ellis can get buckets, but absolute liability on defense. 18 points a game his senior year. So, some people say that, but I mean, if you have that, like you actually scored 18 your senior year, you got buckets in high school. My dilemma: did a pickup order at Target for a new TV as a father of 3, under 3, twins second time around. It's just easier than shopping. You could replace shopping with probably anything with 3 under 3.
Yeah, I will say the Instacart orders have we've been keeping people employed here at the.
You got the annual plan.
Yeah. We just don't have
cheaper
time
if you buy the year up front, instead of going month to month on their plus plan, whatever.
So shouts out to the food delivery people.
I immediately have sympathy when it's like two real little ones, any public setting, Like I know Van was tweeting the other night about there should be an airline where you can pay more to know there's no kids on it. And people turned it into some sort of like elitist take.
You live on this planet. How dare you?
Yeah. I do think, and maybe this is just my feed though. And again, it's probably just the algorithm trying to piss me off. But I do feel like there's this whole thing of people who are trying to prove to themselves, but like posting publicly about how like happy they are not having kids. It's like, hey man, I'm happy for you. Like, don't have kids, but like, don't act like who are you trying to convince here? Me or you?
Yeah, the rest of us aren't cursed.
I don't care about this content. Yeah, like I like my kids. Like this is fun. Like if you want to go to nightclubs at 40, like do your thing. But like, okay, sounds like you're trying to prove it to yourself.
There was 7 toddlers on my flight yesterday. I think I tried to count. That was a little much.
The other thing too about that was like, dude, does everyone not have noise canceling headphones? Like I don't know. Unless
I don't. Right no, it's fine. I was like, hey, charge it to the game. That's the kind of guy I am.
Think the parents were excited about that? Like
no, but they were letting them run the aisles. There's one baby that was like crawling. Yeah,
see, that's the problem.
There was one baby. It was like a real baby. It was probably less than 2. It was like crawling. She's got like she's stretching the fabric to the max of this baby's shirt, and it's like pulled like this, and she's in front and the toddler's behind, and then the guy comes with the drink cart who's not looking, and I shouted, I was like, hey, and that was almost like a huge accident. It's like, there you go. Now like we're in a bit of a gray area.
That I would agree with. But sometimes, man, the kids, they don't want to sit still. They gotta get their. It depends on how long the flight is. They gotta get the legs.
Yeah, there's 60-year-old dudes who are just like doing laps up to it. I'm like, all right, eventually this got to end, right? Come on, I get you some socks that go all the way up or whatever those guys need, right? Yeah. Compression socks. Anyway,
No, this is all really good stuff.
Wait, Van tweeted that? I didn't see that because if Van, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But
he just said there should be
would
an
you
option
pay for that.
He just said there should be an option for people who are really, it's important to them. They could pay a premium to be on a flight with no kids, or maybe be at a restaurant with no kids.
I'd be like, I love kids. I'd be like, I want to see what's going on. I'll speak to Ceruti's content there, though. As somebody who doesn't have a position in his portfolio with the ticker kids, I hate that content. I hate the bragging of like, oh, look at me. I'm just like living my life. Like I've admitted it. I mean, I think I did that weird rant 4 years ago or something where I was like, ultimately, I think it ends up being kind of like one of the most selfish things you can do. So I have my own issues with my own decisions, but the other, this pocket of people that are like proud of it, I don't understand that content. And I'd like to, for the record, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be considered a part of that. I don't sit around at home going like, hey.
Yeah, some people might have thought I was even somewhat talking about you. I'm not even remotely talking. I know you like kids, and it's not you. It's very strange behavior.
It's not you, it's them.
Okay. But
yeah, soft parenting though. I've seen a little bit more of it, or maybe I'm paying more attention to it. Had an issue last night. Deli meat counter. Woman cut like 3 people in line, and the kid decided because of the I guess you would say the moisture on the deli glass, that kid touched every square inch of the entire thing. I mean, just streaks everywhere. And then he did it like twice, and she's like, hey, you have to stop. Didn't care. Cut a guy next to her. He looked at us, and I'm like, yep. And then just more streaking. She's like, you're going to have to clean all of that up now. And the kid's like, no, I'm not. Are you kidding? I've known you for 5 years.
You're not built like that, right?
Yeah, right. Then she apologized for cutting the person after she got everything
at a
she
deli
needed.
counter. What happened to take a number? That's a great system.
Yeah, it's a bit of a free-for-all.
Unless the kids start pulling numbers, then we got a problem.
Yeah. No, so then you're right about that. So there was no number. She cut everybody. She got everything she needed. And then the kid wiped his fingers all over. And then guess what? They just walked away. Because he's like looking back at other people, being like, remember a couple minutes ago and she was saying we're going to have to clean all this? Kidding me? Okay. All right. So our guy has 3 kids that are under 3. We're on a heater of off-ramps today. It's just easier than shopping. Ceruti agrees. Went to Target to pick up the TV, and seeing I had all 3 kids with me, they offered to carry it out to my car, which they did, no problem. Got it home, set it up, works great. 3 days later, get an email saying I never picked up the TV, and they have refunded my credit card.
Oh, man.
Now, do I let Target know they made some sort of mistake and I have the TV, or do I take the small win of a new TV?
I might have never seen that email. I don't know. God, I want to say I would do the right thing. Yeah, I'd want to say I do the right thing.
100%. Look, I'm not telling you I'm Jesus here, but you don't even pretend, Kyle.
Kyle's got a 2-screen setup ASAP.
Secondary market. Never been opened.
I mean, did he sign? I guess I would think like, what is the paper trail here? What exactly is going on? But I think I certainly would have. I think maybe this TV fell off the truck. I don't know. I've seen people who get that like wage theft and they're like, oh, I've been getting an extra paycheck for 8 months, and all of a sudden the company that I quit from says I owe them $50,000. So that's the type of stuff that would deter me. But we're talking about a TV. If it's if you could pay the money, if eventually this ever came back around, yeah, I think that's a free TV.
It's the other thing too is like if it's a mom and pop type shop,
yes,
you feel kind of bad about it. But and this is no disrespect to, he said Target, right? We know I like Target. Shout out to Target. That's just a win in life. You just got to take that one. And because we had that email a while back about the person who got paid right from the company.
Yeah.
And that was illegal, right? There's nothing illegal about this. You could just play dumb.
You got an automated email from a robot saying, here's your refund. All right. I get automated emails all the time.
Yeah, I think
Mike. Mike is like on camera.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Mike didn't even go ahead.
When I was like 19, I bought like a whole new iron set from Callaway. I get the email, clubs have been delivered. I go home, no clubs. So I say, you know what? Let me email them. They'll send me some new ones. Like a week later, I get the new clubs. All's good. Like 3 weeks after that, my neighbor comes over and he was like, hey, I just found this box. I think it's yours. So now I have 2 new sets of these golf irons. They were nice irons. So obviously I kept them both,
Blades?
sold one set to my buddy. They weren't blades, but they were some nice irons.
Nice callback.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. Especially after that amount of time, I don't feel bad about it.
If Mike would do it, you could do it. Let's put it that way.
I got to tell you that the Target employees listen to this probably don't feel as bad as the Callaway employees listening to this right now. That's way more on Mike though than the TV thing.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
I'm not judging Mike, but we all know the answer to this one. So I don't even know that we need to go too into detail on it.
But I don't even think Mike's is controversial.
Yeah, that was just a straight up mix up.
Did you ever think about sending back the extra irons? Make it all square?
Not even for a second, no.
Okay.
Dude, yeah. You got a clean conscience then. Listen to Mike. If Mike, what would Mike do is sort of how I live my life. So
all right. Last one. Chirp by Utes.
sounds like a Ceruti one. Ceruti's got the answer for this
I've
one.
been known to do that.
Yeah, when I finish the email, I'll lay out Ceruti.
Yep. Okay.
Appreciate your attention to this matter. 6'2", 200 pounds, no gym stats. Not to lead the witness, but that might be part of the solution. Player confidence, Deshaun Stevenson. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, you wonder why he's even on a roster. That's a rare one. We haven't had many. That might be the only Deshaun Stevenson ever. Yep. I'll jump right in. My fiance and I were walking back from a quick casual dinner at our neighborhood Mexican spot. Primarily my choice, craving queso. I wasn't exactly dressed my best. A new white Faraday t-shirt. On a recent trip to Spring Lake, New Jersey. Light khaki shorts. Was that a vote for Spring Lake? Is that what I just heard?
No. Faraday, good brand.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So Rudy, couple kids, starts leafing through the Faraday catalog going, I think I could see myself in this. A Navy Butler pitch and putt hat. Shout out Austin, Texas.
Having a hard time picturing that.
Yeah, blue tint Yeezys that were cool 3 years ago, but probably need to be retired given recent events. On the way back, my fiance suggested we stop at a soft serve window, so we did. With my vanilla chocolate twist topped with cornflakes in hand, we continued the 2 blocks home. We passed a group of 5 kids who, not so subtly, coughed and muttered, cornball, multiple times. My fiance turned to me and said, did you hear them calling you a cornball? I was
damn.
I wouldn't say I'm not witty. I'm definitely not quick enough to come up with a good retort to put these 10 to 12-year-olds in their place and save face. So here's the ask. What's the right move in a situation like this? Is there any appropriate comeback that works? Or is it better to just take the L and laugh about it with my awesome fiance? Obviously, this is not a big deal or something I imagine I'll think about once work picks up this week. That said, appreciate any and all insight.
What a tough way to spend your Labor Day weekend thinking about that.
Yeah, nice dinner. Trying to just maximize those last couple summer nights. Little soft serve, like Northeast soft serve.
Damn. So I think Ceruti could just say one word.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 10 to 12-year-old. I think if you call them a virgin, they'd still be upset about it. So it sounds like that's the play for me.
It's the thing that I think you can rest assured here is it probably wasn't your outfit, even though I still don't know what a pitch and putt hat is. I think they would just say that to anybody. I think there's 5 of them. I think they were planted to do something like that. Like it didn't matter if you were wearing cool stuff or whatever you're wearing, which sounds fine to me. But I wouldn't get in your head about what you were wearing. I think it sounds like they're hardwired to do that to anybody.
I wonder if any of them had like almost a mustache. The kids that were closer to 12.
Wipe that dirt off your lip, right?
Something. At least I pay for my clothes. They're not going to care about that.
No, they won't care about that.
They don't understand.
They'll just like repeat it back in like a stupid voice, and you'll be like, "Damn, right. Damn, that was good."
Yeah, Virgin might work here.
That's kind of why this comeback was developed on this here program, because you're limited in what you can do and feel good about saying, So, that's sort of near the line, I think, and but still on the right side of it. So. I haven't really found anything better since he dropped that gem all those episodes ago.
I'm trying to think. 10 to 12. That's not even Gen Z, right? That would be Gen Alpha.
Wow.
Believe.
Look at you.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I've always thought about this because my oldest daughter is Gen Alpha technically, and my new daughter is Gen Beta.
Tough.
And if like you're the beta generation, that's a bummer, right?
Yeah, can they change that, or is that the whole point of beta that they don't want to change it?
You're just born with a burn.
Whatever you say.
That'll work, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I mean, you could say, hey, it's past your bedtime. I mean, but the longer the interaction, the worse it's going to go for you. They're 10 to 12. They know you can't do anything. They're aware of it.
Yeah.
They're probably calling 100 guys a cornball the whole way through.
yeah.
So if there's any
Fired up.
solace in any of this, is that it probably wasn't just you, man.
Definitely wasn't you. Probably wasn't. Still, can anyone explain to me what this hat is?
Well, do you know how much this white Faraday T-shirt is worth? I mean, it's a nice brand. It's expensive, you know.
I'm just
You don't want to say that to a tenant. Hey, this is $85.
No, I'm saying it doesn't work. But like you know that. Other older dudes know that. But these kids, they're not going to care.
Oh, is that like the rope golf hat? That's a cool hat. I like those hats.
Yeah, but those can be like, I have one from Ballyneal that I still can't figure out.
How to
It's
like
rope
make
hat?
it not look bad? What do you mean?
Doesn't look good on me, man.
Well, some hats don't. Sometimes I buy them because I like it how it looks. I get home like never gonna wear this. Damn.
I'm trying though.
$35.
I bring
Yeah.
it down to the beach, but it's just I'm not going to
Brim?
be a California flat bill guy, and it doesn't really fit well. It just looked so good. It was this like old school 70s brown, something you think you see in your grandfather's car, like in the back. And maybe that's the whole point, is no one's actually supposed to wear it. And shout out to my guy Sully in the OC. We were sitting there, and he's like, "There's just something wrong with it." And I went, "I'm going."
Put it
for
on your face when you're laying down.
And so then I actually played around with him and put it on. He's like, "It looks so bad on you." And I went, "Yeah, I know."
You're like, I know, man.
That's what I'm doing.
But
here.
you're known to rocking I mean, you'll wear a big old forehead New Era Blue Jays hat. Like, so you're not
hate that
afraid
look.
to.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not
You've
my
always hated
favorite.
it.
You mix
The
in a
New Era
dad hat every
hats-
now and then.
What's that?
I feel like, do you mix in a dad hat every now and then? I feel like that would look good on your
I
head.
don't know if I've ever seen it. I have seen some.
kids.
One of his
Yeah,
hats is a little snug. There's one that was a little
appreciate-
snug, and I'm wondering if you've had it for so long that your head grew in that time, or you were just like, this is the one.
Oh.
Maybe it was the LSU. There was one that was a little snug. It was almost like
You
Cardinals
accusing me
one?
of growth hormone?
oh, I don't know. You
gonna
could have just
say.
had it way back, and it's like, people's taste buds change. I don't know. Maybe their head gets a little bigger or something. It was just one was a little snug, and I think it was the LSU one.
That might have just gotten so sweaty over the years that it was getting a little
Contracted.
Weird. Yeah, that's can happen, because when the New Era ones break in, they're great. So but those Blue Jays ones, yeah, there's a bit of a canopy on those a little bit, and then because it's that one of the 6 pieces that are sewn together, it's like white and it's aggressive. Ceruti hates it so much. And look, Bushman isn't even involved with the Blue Jays anymore. I should be wearing it now. But I don't. All right, that'll do it for the show. Thanks to Kyle. Thanks to Wargon. Thanks to Ceruti. Thanks to Jonathan Frias. Reminder, scheduling update. We'll be on this Friday. We'll be on Friday after
Football.
the NFL season opens. Yep, football. Love it. More football. Who loves football the most? We'll keep track. The Ryen
Well,
Russillo podcast.
Running list of rankings of the football hardo of the week.
Yeah. Now it's, but see, then when I do that, then it makes it sound like I don't love football. I love football too. Just not as much as some other guys, apparently. All right. That'll do it for the show. We're on YouTube. We are on the Spotify app as a video podcast. Ryen Russillo podcast, Ringer Spotify.
They were gonna name me Michael Jordan. My dad was like, I don't think he can live up to it, so they named me Michael Jared.
Must be 21 and older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is there. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.